All right, greetings and salutations, everyone. My name is Andrew Kirchhoff, and welcome to our Thursday night recap live stream here on the channel for the course of the next 2 hours. Here, I'm going to be talking to you guys in the chat. Any questions you guys have regarding Week 6 of the 2022 fantasy football season, I'll be here to answer. Whether it is trades questions, starter sits, anything of that nature, in order to help you guys out. Even if it's a question regarding a potential I don't know, waiver wire pickup because you are not 100% certain as to a specific player playing this upcoming weekend. So we're going to be answering all those potential questions that you guys have in the chat. Of course, we have the chat to the top right of the screen. If you guys could do me a favor as well, as you can see to the top right, it says click the like button. If you guys have already done so, I greatly appreciate that. Certainly helps the channel out a lot. Also, if you guys haven't checked out Prize Picks, you can go ahead and do so today. There's a link down in the description. And when you sign up using promo code Andrew, you can go ahead and get a first-time deposit match up to $100. So for those of you who are interested in getting more, fantasy in your life, more daily fantasy, that's the way to do it. Obviously, tonight I took some massive L's. For some reason, if someone had told me before tonight, Andrew, the Chicago Bears offensively will be the better fantasy team, yet they will still lose the game, I would turn to you and say there's no possible way of that being, the case. But nonetheless, it was the case. Despite the fact that Justin Fields actually for fantasy purposes was a great quarterback. Nobody's starting Justin Fields because you can't trust him anymore. But 88 rushing yards, had himself a pretty decent game. At least was able to score a touchdown, get, more passing yards than Carson Wentz did. 99 Carson Wentz? What are we doing? The Washington Commanders are a very interesting team, to say the very least. So I don't even know. The one positive, the one shining light, at least, was Brian Robinson. And that was the biggest question mark for me this week. I thought to myself, okay, there's a chance that they could get him immediately involved at a relatively high capacity, which they exactly did. But there was always the question of, do they end up doing that? Are they going to take it slow because it is a short week? Well, obviously the answer has been made. And as we anticipated, there's a reason why many of us went out and we drafted him even when he was on the injured reserve, because Brian Robinson is the real deal. Out of Alabama, they want to give him the ball. They gave him 17 rushing attempts. And luckily, holy moly, luckily did they have that one muffed punt that allowed them to get into the red zone for the first time and at least score a touchdown. Thank goodness. So for those of you who played him, such as I, we got blessed by the fantasy gods. Now, for those of you who had Carson Wentz, hey, listen, I had Carson Wentz on one of my teams this week, and obviously doesn't look great for me. But hey, that's just the nature of the beast. That's fantasy football for you. Thursday nights seem to be a trap. I mentioned this, I think it was either on Sunday or on Saturday of last week. Monday games usually are the better ones. If you're going to start someone to try to, really start your week off hot, just don't do it on Thursday. You might as well just wait for the Sunday and Monday games. Those are typically the ones that win it all for you. But either way, it is the deal. All right. Now that we've heard, how many of you have started to trickle in? Oh, great. Nice. Good amount of people. Welcome. Hope you guys are doing well. Let's go ahead and start answering questions via the chat. Of course, if you guys want to send in a donation, be sure to, of course, include your scoring format. That'd be greatly appreciated. But again, you do not have to send in a donation to get your question answered. I'm here to answer anyone's questions regardless, so that's what we're here for. Thank you very much. Okay, let's see here. Kind of disappointed in Montgomery. I am as well. I thought Montgomery would have seen a little bit more utilization in terms of the receiving game, especially out of the backfield. I guess the primary reason he didn't was because this offensive line was falling apart and he had to be used as a pass blocking threat. But unfortunately, it is what it is. Swaggy P says, two poverty franchises. Yeah, the fact of the matter is they are. During the halftime report, what was it? I think Tony Gonzalez was saying on the analyst desk that these are two freshman or JV football teams in comparison to the rest of the league, which is like varsity football. It seems like that it kind of represents this game. Really poor play across the board, specifically at the quarterback position and offensive line on both teams. Both teams just couldn't really do anything in that regard. James says DJ Moore or Najee Harris at the flex. I'm probably going to go DJ Moore there. Even though Najee Harris typically, if it was the normal Najee Harris, would get the nod from me. But considering he's getting, of course, the rookie quarterback situation, Tampa Bay has the defense that he has to go up against, it's not as enticing of a play in comparison to DJ Moore potentially this week. And then you say, I have Dobbins, I have Mike Boone as my running backs, and Jalen Warren on my bench. Yeah, look, at this point, I don't know about Mike Boone either. I think at this point, if you're going to start one of these potential options, especially if you're sitting in a half PPR, I'd consider Dobbins to be the best option of the group. But outside of that, it would probably be DJ Moore as the next best. Let's see here. Who won this trade? Stevenson or Curtis Samuel for Stevenson and Curtis Samuel for Pittman. I guess it depends on what the rest of the team looks like in a vacuum of sorts, right? Where I have no context as to what the other players on these teams look like. I would say that most likely, based on the fact that Damian Harris eventually returns, Michael Pittman's side is something that I want to hope has more upside going forward. But again, as of right now, considering I don't know the context, trading a running back that could potentially be the workhorse starter for his team going forward is tough to do, especially if you don't have much running back upside. So I love Stevenson. You guys know how much I do. So I think I might just lean in that direction passively here. Hey man, love your videos. Appreciate that, Jacob. Should I start Cortland Sutton or Chris Godwin in a full PPR scoring format? As of this week, I feel a little bit more confidence in the, well, both of them are really good matchups, actually. The Chargers really can't stop a soul defensively this year, which is, the same as every other year. So it's nothing really different except for the fact that they spent a lot more money on that defense. While Chris Godwin has a situation taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, which is really an easy matchup. If I'm playing in a full PPR, I think I'm still leaning in the direction of Cortland Sutton. I think Cortland Sutton can very easily have just as many receptions as Chris Godwin. It's just now a matter of between the two of them, who's going to have more touchdown upside. I think I'm going to lean in the direction of Cortland there. Thank you. Hey, Andrew, my guy, King of the Beards. Let's go, bro. I'm pumped up for the show. Yep, no problem. Appreciate it. Glad to see you guys here. Of course, supporting the channel. Some of you sent us some donations. We'll get to that in just a moment. Sup, Andrew? I've been a watcher for 2 years of your content. I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Meta. Zachary. Okay, we did Zach's question. Mike Williams or Sutton if Keenan Allen is playing. If Keenan Allen is playing, I would play Sutton this week. That would be my immediate pivot because it's already a tough matchup for Mike Williams, right? I mean, it's Patrick Surtain. He is one of the better cornerbacks in the league. Even though he's only in his second year, he is still playing extremely well. So at this moment, I'm probably leaning in the direction of rolling with Mike Williams. All right, let me get to some of these donations here that were sent in. Let's see here. Okay, so Fear sent in a question. We'll get to that. Okay, so Fear sent in a question. Fear said, Geno Smith or Burrow this week? Burrow plays against New Orleans, right? I think I'm still going to go Burrow there. I mean, it's close. I'll tell you that much. In my rankings, let me go pull up my rankings right now. For week 6, where are we at? Okay, rankings. So I currently have Joe Burrow as my number 7 quarterback. I have Geno Smith as my number 9. So that may give you a little bit of an indication as to how close it truly is between the two prospects. But as of right now, Fear, yeah, I'm going to stick with Burrow there. Your following question was McKenzie or Ayuk in the flex. I would play Isaiah McKenzie. He's cleared from concussion protocol. Should be a fantastic play. Somebody in the chat said, is Mostert worth getting? Yes. If Mostert is available in your league on the waivers, please go ahead and pick him up. Legion, that would be an absolutely fantastic play. Saint Sam 25 said, I started Mooney. Dude, of all the weeks to start Mooney, hey, next time let me know you're starting. Just let me know when you're going to start some crazy pick like that, because it seems like you have some unbelievable luck. Maybe go buy a scratcher or a lotto ticket, my guy. Holy moly. What's up, Clarence? How you doing? Hope you're doing well. Shahir sent in a question. Shahir, there wasn't anything attached to your donation. Let me see if I can. Shahir, let's see here, my man. Shahir said, should I trade away Lockett and AJ Dillon for Swift and Jamal Williams in a PPR? Yes, I would. If you don't need the wide receiver if you don't need that depth at the wide receiver position, I would immediately pivot away and go towards DeAndre Swift. Again, it's a running back that, in my opinion, rest of the way has top 7 upside at the position. Obviously, is a receiving threat. And not only that, we have seen both Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift coexist within this offense and play, pretty relatively well. So if we're in a situation where you can, potentially play them both in a given week because it's a great matchup, I don't see why not. Again, it's just a matter of whether you need that wide receiver depth. If you don't, yeah, I would make that trade there, Shahir. Thank you. All right, a couple more donations were sent in. Nels Santiago. Let me go ahead and scroll up to Nels. Nels, where you at, my man? All right, Nels says, hey, bro, who do I drop? Akers and Henderson? And okay, between Akers and Henderson. If I'm dropping one, I'm dropping Henderson. Mainly because he's being kind of relegated to being that third down receiving back. He hasn't really been given much running work as of late. So I'm leaning in the direction of just dropping Henderson. And between Corey Davis and Elijah Moore, if I'm dropping one of those two, I'd probably drop Corey Davis, mainly because I know what I'm getting from Corey Davis. I've seen far too much football over the last couple of years not to be surprised at what Corey Davis produces on a weekly basis. So If I was going to keep one, it would be Elijah Moore because he's the younger player. I've seen him have far more, success over the last year plus now within this offense, and I know he could very easily get back to that. It's just a matter of time. Let's see here. There were a couple more donations that were sent in. Colin Smith. Let me go ahead and scroll down to that. Colin, full PPR, start 2. Devonta Smith, Christian Kirk, or Melvin Gordon. Okay, if it's a full PPR scoring format, I'm more inclined to. Oh, but Melvin Gordon's got an incredible matchup against his former team, and the Chargers have given up a 100-yard rusher with a touchdown in each of the last 3 weeks. Man, this is a tough one. At this point, wow. Because the only reason this makes it difficult, Colin, is because earlier, I think it was yesterday, the head coach of the not Philadelphia Eagles anymore, the Jacksonville Jaguars, Doug Peterson, he came out and he said the fact that we gave Christian Kirk only 3 targets should never happen again. He should be seeing 9, 10, 11 targets plus every single week. That's literally what he said. Now, maybe I'm reading a BS quote, but that's what I read on Twitter. So there's a possibility that that's legit. And if it is, I'm looking at Devonta Smith. I'm thinking, man, he's got a good matchup against Anthony Brown this week, the second corner of the Cowboys. So does Christian Kirk against, the Indianapolis Colts. He found pretty good success against them earlier this year. But I want to play Melvin. Oh, man. At this point, if I had to pick 2 options, I'm probably playing Melvin Gordon and Christian Kirk. It's tough, dude. It's really close. I'm actually going to go check my full PPR rankings just to see where I even had it earlier today. So I have Melvin Gordon here. And then where do I have the rest of the gang? So where is Devonta Smith? Okay, where are you, Devonta Smith? Devonta Smith's here. And then where do I have Christian Kirk? Yeah, okay. Actually, in fact, I have Devonta Smith ahead of Christian Kirk in a full PPR. So it would be Devonta Smith and Melvin Gordon as of right now. It could probably change by Sunday morning, but as of right now, I guess that's what we'll go with because that's what Andrew, a couple hours ago, with a far fresher brain and far more research under his belt, had come to a conclusion of. Appreciate it, Colin. Thank you. All right, Blade Green, thank you very much. Half PPR, James Robinson or Deontay Johnson as my double flex option, okay? I already have Jonathan Taylor and Eno Benjamin subbing in. Okay, good. Eno Benjamin's a fantastic play this week. Guys, if Eno Benjamin is available in your league, he is very easily, at this moment, has the potential of being a top, probably 18 running back within the week, maybe even better if he scores a touchdown. There is most likely going to be a scenario where James Conner misses due to the rib injury. Again, if we've learned anything from running back rib injuries this season already, specifically Alvin Kamara, those could very easily take a while to heal from. So, Benjamin very easily should be a guy that you should be looking for, handcuffing your James Conner investments, and or if you don't even have James Conner and you need to fill in for a bye week running back, something of that extent, it's a good pickup. To answer your question, Blade, at this point, I'm probably still leaning in the direction of rolling. Look, Deontay Johnson, especially in this matchup, I think at very best gets us in a half PPR scoring format 8 to 10 points at very best. I think James Robinson is capable of better than that. So I'm going to lean towards James Robinson there. Thank you. Let's see here. Zeke and Pickens for Sanders. Zeke and Pickens for Sanders and Gainwell, half PPR. I would rather have Zeke and Pickens, to be honest. I think Zeke will be far better once, in fact, we see Dak returning. And considering it's a PPR, I think Pickens could very easily be, in that mix within the top 36 every single week here on forward within that offense, especially how much they're going to have to throw with Najee Harris pretty much being a no-show. So I'm gonna pick the former of the 2 options you had, Zeke and Pickens. Thank you. All right, just don't want to miss anybody. Okay, good. Flip side, fishing. Let's see. 14-team league, full PPR. Thank you very much. Says Alec Pierce or Duvernay this week. All right, that's a really good question. If there's no Rashad Bateman, I'm gonna go with Duvernay this week. I was also blessed by playing Brian Robinson in the flex. Yeah, listen, how many points did he get? Let me check my fantasy team. Oh, let me check. Yeah, the only team I played him on this week. Come on, load Yahoo, load. Listen, as beautiful as this team is, you know what the worst part is? Let me show you guys. Let me show you the worst part of this one. The worst part of this one is that this team also has, it's not gonna, come on. Focus. It also has Carson Wentz as my super flex. Okay, this is a pretty good team. Like overall, this is a pretty monster team. I put up 171 and a half PPR last week with this squad. Right, we got Burrow, we got Kupp, we got Waddle, Rondale Moore as the third wide receiver, Fournette, Mixon, Njoku. We have Brian Robinson, and then we have Carson Wentz as the second quarterback. Listen, guys, it happens. You know, it is what it is. It is what it is, man. Sometimes you just got to make investments at taking running backs and wide receivers in a super flex and try to survive with Wentz. He's typically saved me in these last couple weeks here. But, you know, every now and then, you know, you get a 4-point performance from a quarterback. It is what it is. Keep it moving. Okay. Anyway, I'm leaning towards Duvernay. Thank you very much, Fishing. Appreciate that. Let's see here. Akeem, what were you saying, my man? Let's see here, Akeem. Akeem says, do I trade Kareem Hunt for Michael Pittman Jr.? Yeah, if you don't need the running back depth, I would. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Thank you, Akeem. Appreciate it. Let's see here. Going down. Is Ayuk droppable in a 12-team league? Yeah, I believe so. Should I drop Montgomery for Mostert? No, I think you should probably have both on roster, Legion. If in fact you're in between picking one or the other, I mean, we're probably kind of in a spot where, yeah, it is tight, and I'm thinking Mostert could be better, but as of right now, I just don't want to over exaggerate after, you know, just a brutal Thursday night game. You know what I mean? Someone in the chat, Jonathan says Disley or Fant. I'm playing Disley this week if I have an opportunity to do so. So yeah, these Thursday games, woof. Yeah, David, you're absolutely correct. Pollard or Hunt in week 6? I would go with Hunt in week 6. All right, so Darth Javi sent in a question. Darth, let me get to you in a minute. Let's see here. Where are we at? Full PPR, how confident do you feel having both Dameon Pierce and Breece Hall as your starting running backs? I feel extremely confident. Obviously, I do expect Dameon Pierce to take a couple steps back. He's been far too efficient for his own good, especially in the Houston Texans offense. We really haven't seen players like this pop off to that extent. That being said, Breece Hall, on the other hand, if you guys have seen the level of production that Michael Carter has had each of the last 2 weeks, Michael Carter has been, putrid in terms of running the ball. I think in week 4, he was averaging about 1.5 yards per carry. Week 5, averaging about 2.1 yards per carry. If he's going to continue to be in that range, more attempts are going to go in the direction of Hall, and that only helps. But either way, I think both these guys easily rest the season. Really confident with them, even though they're rookie options. Moving on. Figaro, thank you very much. I appreciate the donation. Very generous. You don't have to send those in, but I appreciate that. Tua and Dak are in free agency. I've seen the rest of season rankings video. Is Dak the go? Yes, I would probably say so. The only reason that Tua was not in that video is because I don't know how long he's going to be out for. Tua could very easily be a low-end or probably high-end quarterback 2 rest of the way. But as of right now, yes, Dak is the guy that if you're looking to try to make a impact play at quarterback rest of the season, if you could pick him up, you should probably go for that. You have Lawrence right now. Obviously, keep Lawrence for this week, but Dak should be the guy for the rest of the season. Also, Tyler Boyd or Alec Pierce rest of the season. At this moment, it's probably clear that Alec Pierce will get more utilization, mainly because we do expect T. Higgins to return. I don't know when that timeline is or what we're expecting to see from that. But as of right now, I'd probably say Alec Pierce because, you know, this team already has a lot of people they're throwing the ball to. Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon, Hayden Hurst, and then you get T. Higgins back in there. Tyler Boyd maybe becomes like the 5th receiving option within that offense. Eno Benjamin or Gordon this week. I'm still leaning towards Gordon. Yep, I'm still leaning towards Gordon. But Eno is a pretty good option, guys. It's still a fantastic option this week. A half PPR pick 2, Kenneth Walker, Godwin, or DK Metcalf. If it's between these options, I think you're safer off going with Kenneth Walker and DK, to be honest. What up, Andrew? Should I start Njoku over Christian Kirk, Alec Pierce, or Boyd this week? I would probably feel pretty... Okay, under the assumption, okay, first and foremost, that there is no T. Higgins this week. All right, let's leave that first and foremost. If that's going to be the case... Would I still play Njoku over Tyler Boyd? Because I think that's like or even Alec Pierce. If it's a half PPR scoring form, wait, is it a half PPR? No, you didn't even mention that. I think I'd bargain to say that Njoku has just as much potential value as Alec Pierce. So it's a matter of who scores a touchdown. And if I'm going to have to pick between the two, I think I'm leaning in the direction of probably going with Njoku this week. Thank you. All right. Drew sent in a question, says start at Akers, Boone, start Akers, Boone, or Edmonds. I would play Chase Edmonds, again, under the current assumption that James Conner does not suit on Sunday. Now, the second best option after that would probably be Akers and then Boone. That's the way I would go. Should I trade Najee Harris for Kenneth Walker? Honestly, David, I don't mind that. I would. At this point, let's just go ahead and let me pull up the Steelers schedule, okay, guys? The Pittsburgh Steelers schedule for the next couple weeks here, okay? They have to play against Tampa Bay, pretty good run stopping defense. Then they have to play against the Dolphins, pretty good run stopping defense. Then the Eagles, status quo, good run stopping defense. Then the Saints, then the Bengals, then the Indianapolis Colts. Okay, so and then they take on the Falcons, Ravens, Panthers, Raiders, Ravens again, then the Browns. Now, just to give you some perspective, okay, as to some of the teams I just mentioned in that regard, let me go ahead and let's do something really quickly here. Let's do. Actually, no, we probably can't. Oh, maybe we can. You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna give it a shot. So if you guys remember on Thursday, we had a. Let me see here. Where the heck is my video at? I've lost it because I put it away. Oh man, where's my? There we go. Week 6 running back video. Where's my graphics list? Okay, strength of schedule. Boom. All right, here we go. Perfect. All right, let's figure this out. Okay, let's look at this really quickly. I'm gonna adjust it on screen, like an absolute madman. Okay, so if we look at this really quickly, okay, rushing stats allowed. Okay, by the defenses that I just talked about. We talked about they play against Tampa Bay, into Miami, into Cincinnati, into Indianapolis, New Orleans, Philadelphia. Right, those are the 6 upcoming games, dude. They've got their hands full. Like, these defenses do not mess around. Like, legitimately, like, if you're going to have to play against some of these top defenses, and then you have to play against Baltimore late in the season, I don't know where to put this graphic. I'm just turning it off. It is not easy. I'm just putting it that way. Najee Harris, we'll draft him next year. How about that? We'll draft him next year, guys. A couple more donations were sent in. Angel sent in a question, said, start 3. Christian McCaffrey, Fournette, Hall, or Kenneth Walker. Yeah, I'm sitting Kenneth Walker this week. I'm playing the other 3. McCaffrey, Hall, and Fournette. Those are my 3 starters. So that's where I'm going. Joseph said, I picked up Wentz since I already have Dak on my bench. Yeah, Joseph, you just have to survive a couple more weeks. Dak will come back. You'll be good to go. Aaron says, why are you always hating on Cordero Patterson? I don't think I hate Cordero Patterson in any sort of capacity. Listen, you have to learn or see it from my perspective. In order for me to be more accurate, these players have to play well every single week. I want them to play well every single week. So the idea or the assumption that I hate a given player, the only players I hate are people that play defense, because those are the guys that stop our players from playing well. So if you're asking Aaron, if you want to rephrase your question and say, Andrew, why do you rank Cordero Patterson so low every week? Then I would rebuttal with saying, I don't expect him to play well based on the offense just not looking like a good team. Now, obviously he's proven me wrong, which again, I'm perfectly happy with, because if these players continue to play better than my expectations, then it helps us in fantasy. Play Lazard or questionable Lockett. I'm playing Lockett this week. Absolutely playing Lockett. He's playing against Arizona. I can't have a better matchup than that. D Ill says, all right, let me move over here. D Ill's got to have a question. Yeah, here it is. Said flex Singletary, Judy, Njoku, ETN, or Duvernay this week. It's a 12-team league. 1 point for every 20 yards. No points per reception. This is awful. That sounds like the worst league that you can play in, dude. Your weeks must end up being like 50 to 45 and somebody winning the week, huh? All right, so if we're off that basis of 20 yards per point and no yards per reception, I'm probably either going with Duvernay or I'm going with ETN. Actually, maybe, yeah, because I'm trying to think to myself, Duvernay, ETN, and Njoku have the highest potential upside for touchdowns. Now, Njoku, I mean, I don't know if he's going to find the end zone, but even if he gets 70 receiving yards, he's getting you 3 points. So I want more upside than that. So I'm probably looking towards rolling out Duvernay, hoping he catches a bomb for a touchdown. That's kind of the direction I'm leaning with this really, really weird scoring format that you've got there. Kabi says Marquez Valdez-Scantling, DJ Moore, Darius Slayton, Gallup, or Boyd in a standard scoring format. In a standard scoring format, ooh, I kind of want to go MVS here, mainly because he's coming off a pretty good week. The last couple weeks here, he's been actually a far more, I guess, implemented offensive piece for the Chiefs. And if we're looking for yardage and touchdown upside, I'm kind of leaning in that direction. So I think I might lean MVS there, just in a standard league, straight up. Outside of that, if I'm going with a second option, it'd probably be Boyd, because I don't think any of these guys sniff the end zone. I could be wrong on that matter. It is what it is. So it's either MVS or Boyd, and I'm thinking this could be a really high scoring event between the Chiefs and the Bills. Jack's Motivational Hub says, Aaron Jones for Jonathan Taylor. Did I win the trade? Yes. If you got Jonathan Taylor, I think that's a win. Absolutely. Hey, Andrew, half PPR, pick 3, Keenan Allen, Jalen Waddle, George Pickens, Isaiah McKenzie, and Jerry Jeudy. All right, awesome. So if Keenan Allen is a play, he gets a full participation by tomorrow, Friday, then I would go ahead and feel pretty confident playing him. The next best option, in my opinion, would be Isaiah McKenzie there. And then your third option is Jalen Waddle, under the assumption that, of course, Teddy Bridgewater is the starting quarterback this week. If Bridgewater is not starting this week, at that point, I would be pivoting to Jeudy. So it would be Keenan, Isaiah, Jeudy. Otherwise, Keenan, Waddle, and Isaiah. Thank you. Let's see your standard scoring: Lamb, Godwin, Higgins, or Walker for my flex. I don't know if Higgins is even going to play this week. So if I had to pick one out of the group in a standard scoring format, I honestly, I'm beginning to kind of lean towards the direction of Kenneth Walker this week. Against Arizona. That's probably where I would go in a standard scoring format. Max says PPR, trade Chase or J-Rob. Trade Chase and J-Rob, for Lamb and Kenneth Walker. At this point, I don't mind it. I don't mind it at all. I think Lamb will be perfectly fine. I think he probably outscores Chase the rest of the season in a full PPR as soon as Dak comes back. Appreciate it. All right. Let's see here. Who did I not catch up to? Mike sent in a question, says, rate my team. I have okay, so I traded Najee Harris, St. Brown, and Olave for Christian McCaffrey, Deontay Johnson, Christian Kirk, and Kareem Hunt. Okay. Just looking at the trade as a whole, so you upgrade running back pretty heavily. I think Christian Kirk and Olave are relatively close in value, and then you're going ahead and just moving St. Brown. Okay, yeah, I think it's definitely a win for you in terms of the trade column. And then you also have Diggs and Breece Hall on your team. So yeah, you made your team significantly stronger going forward, in my opinion. There, obviously, losing St. Brown and Olave is tough, but bringing in Christian McCaffrey, Christian Kirk, Kareem Hunt is always the handcuff. You never know if something happens to Nick Chubb. There's a lot of value to be had there, and Deontay Johnson's pretty much trending in the right direction as of late. JK sent in a question, said flex 1 full PPR, ETN, CEH, or Ayuk this week. I'm probably leaning towards Travis Etienne. I don't like it, but that's probably the direction I'm going in. The safer play most likely would just be to play Clyde Edwards-Helaire because he has more touchdown upside out of the bunch. But I don't know. I got a feeling about ETN. I just don't know what it is. All right, let me go ahead and scroll up a little bit, see some of these questions that were just typed into the chat. What do we have here? Breece Hall, James Robinson, or DK? Yeah, I'm playing Breece Hall this week against Green Bay Packers. Against their defense really hasn't been able to stop the run all season long, and all the Jets have wanted to do over the last couple of weeks has just been running the ball. So I'm all for that. Just traded Dalvin Cook and Hunt for JT. I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that. Wow, I got an offer of Jefferson for Jacobs and Sanders. Half PPR, yes. I don't know what the rest of your team looks like, Andy. I'm going to be totally honest. If, in fact, you can afford... You had an offer. I got offered Jefferson for Jake. So they're giving you Jefferson. You have to give away Jacobs and Sanders. What do the rest of your running backs look like? Because if you're giving away that level of talent, sure, I'd like to know what the rest of your team looks like. Otherwise, it should be an automatic smash if you have other running back upside on your squad. Should we trade Jeff Wilson now before Elijah Mitchell's back? Yes, I've been saying that for the last couple weeks, Carl. I would 100% endorse that idea. Jeff Wilson is still going to be a participant in this backfield even when we see Mitchell return. But I don't think it's going to be at a capacity where we can start him as like a top 24 option every single week. Now, I could be mistaken. And Elijah Mitchell comes back and he has to sit behind Jeff Wilson. But from what we've seen throughout the course of the last couple of years, Elijah Mitchell's the guy. And when he's active, they give him the rock a bunch of times per week. Let's see here. JK, okay, we did that one. Joel Garza sent in a question. Joel, let me see what you got here. Would you trade away Fournette to get Ramondre, Gabe Davis, and James Robinson? Full PPR. Sending props from Tacoma, Washington. Shout out. Thank you very much. Appreciate that, man. All right, so here's the thing. If you're trading away Fournette and you're getting Ramondre, Gabe Davis, and James Robinson, here's my only issue, okay? Ramondre is going to be the guy for the next couple weeks until we see Damian Harris come back. And Damian Harris is already in a position where he's been limited this week at practice. So he's been there. He's present. It's not like he's off the scene completely. So if you're going to trade for a running back who eventually will have the other guy come back, and then you have James Robinson, who is slowly but surely losing his job to Travis Etienne over the last couple weeks in terms of snap counts, in terms of touches, all that trending in the direction of Etienne. And then you have Gabe Davis, who, again, even though he's a good option, he is the only like shining star rest of season within this trade. It's tough to do. Now, the question is, how desperate are you for multiple running backs and a receiver right now? Because that probably gives me a better indication as to how desperate you need to make this trade. And if you do need to make a trade like this, maybe you need to go ahead and look for another trade partner that is going to give you more for Fournette. Because especially coming off a 30-point week, Fournette looks like he's going to be the guy rest of the way, especially considering we've seen in the last 3 weeks alone, 21, I think it's, 21 or 22 receptions in the last 3 weeks. The dude's catching them all 7 times a game. If we're talking about a full PPR scoring format, which we are, the dude's scoring a touchdown per game just off receptions. Like, it's going to be tough to kind of fill in that void, especially when Damian Harris comes back for Ramondre. Super Unknown says, shout from Chicago. I hope, yeah, that's actually a good one. That is actually a good one. Fadesky says, trade Jacobs plus Devonta Smith for Chase and Singletary. I have Joey B. I mean, listen, if you need the wide receiver position, and you have so many running backs that you could give away Jacobs in this kind of a regard, then sure, go for it. But otherwise, I'm kind of leaning towards the Jacobs side and just holding, pack there. But again, depends what you have on your team. The more context I have, the better or more accurate information that I can convey back to you. Let's see here. Again, yeah, Booger just, gave me a good idea. Booger said he was like 105. Guys, if you guys can do me a favor, click that like button down below. Certainly does help out the channel. Allows me to continue to make content on a daily basis. Of course, bring these live streams to you guys, whether it is Monday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, on a weekly basis, to kind of help you guys out as much as I possibly can. So if you haven't yet already, be sure to click the like button. There's about 300 of you in here. I do appreciate you guys being here. Of course, supporting with your viewership, and of course with that like button. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Let's see here. Would you trade Josh Allen, Mostert, and Brian Robinson for Jalen Hurts and Jonathan Taylor? Yeah, I don't mind that. I'll do that. I'm okay with that rest of the season. Let's see here. Miles Reed Morgan says Kirk, Godwin, or Williams at the wide receiver position, and Benjamin or Wilson at the running back position. If I'm picking one of the two, I'm probably going with Jeff Wilson Jr. at running back. As for your wide receivers, if I'm picking just one of those 3 options and Keenan Allen isn't active, I would probably go Williams. If Keenan Allen is active and we're playing in a PPR scoring format, I would then just pivot to Chris Godwin this week. Thank you. I have Mixon, Monty, Pierce, Walker. Which one should I trade? If you're looking to trade one of these potential options, I would most likely lean in the direction of trading Walker or Montgomery. Oh, sorry. You're talking about trading it for Mostert off the waivers. That's okay. Legion, my bad. I just put 2 and 2 together because we were talking a little bit ago. So if we're moving one of these guys off of your waiver to bring in Mostert, yeah. Oh man, I don't want to drop Montgomery for Mostert, but I think it's not a terrible idea to an extent. My only issue with Mostert, my only hesitation, is I know Mostert's injury history, and it scares me. I think I would just stay with the team that you have, honestly. As much as I'd like to try to pick up Mostert and see what he can do for you this week, it's hard for me to drop one of these guys rest of the season. All right, let me scroll down a little bit here. Hayden Hurst or Knox at the tight end, full PPR. Yeah, we're definitely playing Hayden Hurst, especially if, in fact, we do see T. Higgins miss. Even if T. Higgins does play, I think I'm a little bit more confident in playing Hayden Hurst this week. Let's see here. Traded away Connor, Debo, and Corey Davis for Taylor, Allen, and Thomas. Already have Henry and Barkley. Wait, how did you get away with that, my man? How did you get away with that? Devin, that's an insane trade. Holy moly. All right, well, congratulations. You just fleeced that guy. If I was in your league, I would have vetoed that thing because that just does not look natural. That seems pretty set up to me. But congrats, my man. I've got Keenan Allen, T. Higgins. I got Michael Thomas. This says Pitts, Higbee, CEH, Walker. I need one wide receiver. Okay. Can I drop someone for a tight end? Why would you need to wait? And do I drop someone for a tight end? Why would you need to drop someone for a tight end? You have Higbee. Play Higbee every single week, my man. unless you're playing in a standard league and that's why you're complaining about Higbee, I feel like you should be in a perfectly fine position. Higgins is not going to play. Michael Thomas is not going to play. So you're playing Keenan Allen. If he doesn't play, then yes, at that point, if you're leaning in, hey, Andrew, should I drop someone for a wide receiver? No, you would just play Dobbs there. And then you would also just follow up by playing, most likely CEH in the flex. Patriot says, NFL stinks, especially on Thursdays. Yeah, the NFL stinks, but the fact that it creeps into fantasy, I would just love a game where the score is, I don't know, let's say 18-21, just purely, no, not even 21. Let's say 18 to, we can go 18-21 technically, if we just do all field goals, right? I love that game, just as long as they get down the field and get some damn yardage. But unfortunately, wasn't able to do so. Joseph says, hey, Andrew, what's your thoughts on Brian Robinson rest of the season? I mean, that was a pretty promising performance, right? I think the performance itself wasn't great because the offensive line is banged up in terms of yardage per carry. He really was kind of shut down in the first half. But the main, I guess, statistical takeaway that we can have from tonight's game, the most positive piece of tonight, is that he had 17 rushing attempts. And that is all I needed to see to be 100% confident in the idea that he has top 24 upside at the running back position every single week henceforth. Even if J.D. McKissic and Antonio Gibson are going to be in that rotation, we've seen over the last 2 years within this offense, they have been a run-first team. They have continued to year in and year out give their running backs a boatload of opportunities. So there's going to be enough to sustain 3 guys there, but mainly support the efforts of Brian Robinson in the running game. Alexander, I appreciate that. I mean, listen, it is what it is, Alexander. I'm here. I'm happy to be here. We're close to 70K subscribers. That's the exciting part. If we can get there, that'd be fantastic. For the flex in a PPR, Kenneth Walker, Mostert, or what was the follow-up? Oh man, where did it go? Or Gabriel Davis. If we're playing one of those guys, Kenneth Walker, Mostert, or Gabriel Davis, in a full PPR scoring format, I'm probably leaning towards Davis. The next best option is Mostert. Fainsky says, my running backs are Swift, Jacobs, Kenneth Walker the third. We have J.K. Dobbins, we have Dillon, we have Brian Robinson, we have Boone. Okay, so just to kind of give myself some context as to the trade that you want to make, if you're going to send away Jacobs and you have Swift, Kenneth Walker, J.K. Dobbins, Dillon, Brian, okay. I mean, it's a PPR format. Yeah, I'm okay with that trade. I'm okay with the swap. I obviously don't like the fact that you have to give away Devonta Smith for Devin Singletary because I don't want Devin Singletary on my team. That's the issue. If you can make it a straight up trade, Jacobs for Chase, I'm okay with that. But as for right now, I'm not too excited about sending away Devonta Smith for Singletary. But if that's the deal maker, then I guess that you could definitely go with it at that point. Figaro sent in another question. Figaro, let me get to your 1 second here. Thanks, Drew, for the help. Last one. Should I trade was this Henry, like Derrick Henry, for Nuke Hopkins? And Nuke Hopkins for Kupp? Probably not. I mean, listen, guys. If you remember the first 2 weeks of the season, everybody who had Derrick Henry was panicking. I remember you guys in the comment section complaining about Derrick Henry, and I told you guys, in week 3, what is more likely to happen? They give him 30 touches per week and he goes off and he looks like the way he did last year, or they start cutting away some of his touches and he looks like a bum. Obviously, it was the former. And I think going forward, the 3 performances that we've most recently seen for Derrick Henry, off the top of my head in a half PPR, it's plus 22 points in every single game. I don't know if I'm giving up on Derrick Henry and especially Nuke Hopkins. I don't know if I want to give away a top 20 wide receiver rest of the way and Derrick Henry, who in my opinion is a top 5 back in that regard. So yeah, you might want to, have Cooper Kupp in a full PPR scoring format, but it's tough for me to make that deal, man. Should I trade Ramondre for Aaron Jones? Yes, I would. I'd feel pretty comfortable in doing so. Yes. Who can I try to target at wide receiver for Olave and Pickens? If you're trying to trade both these young stud wide receivers, I guess you could very easily try to go and make okay, let me think about this. I think right now is a really good time to potentially go and trade for Jalen Waddle. if you were going to do so, I think Jalen Waddle's a wide receiver that in the last couple weeks has looked pretty underwhelming because of the fact that there's been unfortunate quarterback situations. Once Tua returns, he'll be perfectly fine. And I think another wide receiver that you could potentially go after that has been relatively underwhelming as of late can be a Jamar Chase. Obviously, I don't think you're going to be able to get him with those two options. Maybe you'll change Pickens for somebody else. I think another option could even be T. Higgins rest of the way. I mean, when T. Higgins has been healthy this year, he's already proven that he's the guy. So it's just a matter of when we see him back on the field in that regard. Miles, I appreciate that. Thank you. Full PPR, is Hopkins and Hollywood for Mixon a good trade? I don't know what the rest of your team looks like. Again, right now, Hopkins and Hollywood rest of the way. I think these are two solid wide receiver 2 options when they're both on the field at the same time. So it would be tough for me to move on from either of them, especially considering there's a chance that if this Cardinals offense from the last couple weeks takes a massive step forward and both of them can sustain as wide receiver 1s rest of the way, imagine what you'd be giving up for just Mixon. That could really hurt you in a full PPR scoring format. Garrett Wilson to pick up J.K. Dobbins if we're dropping Garrett Wilson. Yeah, I'm okay with that. I like always getting more running back depth. That you'll never see me complain about having running back depth. Should I trade Ramondre for Eric? Yeah. Ricardo, absolutely. PPR, Dobbs, Gabriel Davis, or Christian Kirk this week in the flex. I'm leaning towards Gabriel Davis, then Christian Kirk, then Dobbs in that exact order. Appreciate it. All right, so a couple more donos were sent in after Figaro. Bobby Known says, would you trade T. Higgins for Sutton? Or Sutton for St. Brown? Yeah, I would trade either of them for St. Brown right now. Either of them. Whichever one you feel more comfortable giving away, I trade him for St. Brown. Romeo Dobbs or Alex Pierce this week in the flex. They play against the Jets, huh? I would venture to say that Dobbs has a chance to being a better play, but I'd probably go Alex Pierce there right now. Because, that the influx of targets that we saw Randall Cobb get scares the crap out of me. So right now, I'm just going to let's wait and see what the heck this team does. And if Dobbs plays on the outside exclusively and he's got Sauce Gardner on him the whole day, that could be a nightmare. Let's see here. Abhishek V, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Says, I'm 1-4. I'm in a 12-team league PPR. Thoughts on the suggestion? Thoughts and suggestions available. Okay, let's see here. Brady, Jonathan Taylor, T. Higgins, Michael Thomas. Okay, so I already know your problem. Your team has just been hit with the injury bug galore. JT's missed games. T. Higgins has missed games. Michael Thomas hasn't played since week 3. Godwin has been injured. Kenneth Walker only just got his start. Taysom Hill has been pretty much off of, out of nowhere as of late. McKenzie's been, obviously missed last week. Chubb has been perfectly fine. You have Elijah Moore, who could be dropped at this point, in my opinion. Schultz can be dropped at this point, in my opinion. I think Reynolds is fine. Mitchell, obviously injured. And then you had Hines. You are literally a curse. Now, I'm not meaning that in a bad way. I'm just saying that your team, whatever you constructed here, there is a curse that is on it. And I'm not a priest of any sort, but I'm going to try to do some fantasy blessings here in order to kind of absolve any sins that have been made and what the heck we can fix here. Listen, as a shell, the team is pretty strong. JT and Kenneth Walker as your primary backs, and Chubb, I mean, those are pretty 3 strong running backs. I don't want to move either of them. The whole issue is your wide receiver position. I think Michael Thomas should have been traded 3 weeks ago, like I mentioned in that video. As of right now, you're probably playing Godwin and McKenzie this week. T. Higgins, you want to keep on roster. Mike Thomas, if you can move him, you should. The rest of the options, like I mentioned, Schultz, Elijah Moore can be dropped and go get other guys. Schultz only played 18% of the snaps this last week. And the Cowboys signed another tight end earlier today, which gives me a huge concern about the knee injury that he sustained earlier this season. Once Elijah Mitchell comes back, this will give you an opportunity to potentially move one of your running backs, maybe Mitchell, maybe Kenneth Walker, and get another wide receiver that could end up being of value in the future, or potentially giving you a tight end boost. Obviously, you're going to have to roll with Taysom Hill for the, foreseeable future, but I don't think that's a terrible idea considering, of course, the injuries that have been sustained by the New Orleans Saints offense. Of course, Chris Olave was the only wide receiver of the bunch that was kind of active today. There was no Michael Thomas again. There was no Jarvis Landry. That in itself kind of leads you in the direction of, why is the tongue twister hitting me now? I'm feeling pretty comfortable on playing Taysom Hill. What the heck was that? I had a mini stroke there, guys. Do you think Henderson is a drop? Yeah, I think Henderson is droppable at this point. Yeah, I would venture to say that. Flex one this week, ETN or Dobbs. I'm probably leaning towards ETN this week. Full PPR, D-Hop, Hollywood. Yeah, we already answered that one, no problem. Would you trade Waddle for Metcalf? Sorry, and Metcalf for Chase? I think that's a little too much. That's a little too rich for my blood. I guess if you're playing in like a 6 or 8 team league, maybe. Picked up Tevin Coleman too. I mean, Tevin Coleman doesn't really make a difference for me. I don't see him playing much of an option, even though it's a revenge game against Atlanta. I don't know how much we can really trust in that. Martinez said full PPR, AJ Dillon, London, or Kenneth Walker this week. If you want to be safe, it's probably playing Kenneth Walker. I think I'm still leaning in the direction of London, though, because it's a full PPR. Emmanuel Mosley's gone. Jimmy Ward broke his hand. They've got a lot of holes in that secondary, and I think London could definitely expose them. Half PPR, Drake, London, Myers, ETN. I'm probably leaning towards the running back there. If Mac Jones is starting, I could very easily... You know what, now that I'm thinking about it, even if Mac Jones doesn't start, I may consider it Myers. But for right now, it's ETN or Myers. Drake London will probably take the backseat there. Drop Curtis Samuel after tonight. I'm considering it. It's definitely in the realm of possibility. Obviously, it's a matter of what you're picking up in exchange for him, but it was definitely on my mind when we got to halftime, and he literally had done nothing at that point. Mean DeBush says, would you drop Dobbs for Duvernay? Man, that's a tough question. I think if you're looking for a player that you can serve for a starter this week, I think it's not a bad idea. Because Rashad Bateman obviously is in the boot, and he may miss more than just this week. And if Duvernay kind of carves out enough of a role to be a mainstay in this offense, there's a reason why Lamar Jackson's already thrown 12 passing touchdowns this season. And that's a pretty high number in comparison to the rest of the field of the quarterback position. I mean, you know what, some interesting stats that I found earlier today? Can you imagine that right now, Jalen Hurts, okay? He has had himself, I think, only 4 passing touchdowns this season. Let me confirm this. Let's go find the stat. Jalen Hurts has 4 passing touchdowns this year, okay? Kyler Murray has 6. Obviously, their rushing totals, the biggest difference maker. But the fact that Lamar Jackson has 12 passing touchdowns, while the league leaders are Patrick Mahomes at 15 and Josh Allen at 14. That means Lamar Jackson is third on that list, on top of the fact that he already has 374 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. Yeah, I'd be okay with Duvernay going forward. But again, if Bateman comes back, I wouldn't be surprised if he disappears as well. Let's see here. I can't get any value in exchange for Hurts, SMH. What do you mean? People don't want Jalen Hurts on in your league? That's absolutely insanity to hear. Mainly because I know Jalen Hurts is top 5 like literally every single week in fantasy. Let me pull up the stat real quick. All right, so where the heck is this thing? What the heck? Aha, here we go. So this season already, in a standard scoring format, okay? Here we go, standard scoring format. Jalen Hurts has finished as the number 4, the number 3, the number 3, the number 14, and the number 3 overall quarterback in the first 5 weeks of the season. So you're telling me that people do not want a top 4 quarterback on a pretty consistent rate? They're lost, my man. They're lost. Now, if this is your second quarterback and you have somebody else and you still can't trade away Jalen Hurts, that's a problem. Maybe you're asking for too much in exchange. I don't know what the deal is, but could be a problem there. What's your thoughts on Brian Robinson rest of the season? Yeah, we already talked about that. Maybe I'm just a little bit slow on getting to the updated. Okay, we already did this. Okay, so I got to get way lower down here. Okay, defense equals Buffalo or Dallas this weekend. John, I would go with Dallas this weekend. I think there's far more risk in playing Buffalo, especially with their secondary being a little bit beat up right now. I know Tre'Davious White is coming back, but that he's not going to be active this week. He'll be active every following week after that. He's practicing this week, but they've already said that he's not going to be an active participant in the matchup. What can I possibly get for Najee Harris? You know those Hubba Bubba gums that are in that roll? I think you could probably get a piece, like the roll of that, but like someone already took a bite out of it. You could get one of those. Honestly, Najee Harris is in he's in shambles right now. I'm in shambles for Najee Harris. At this point, I don't know what you could get for him because I have a hard time even imagining a scenario where I would give him up for such garbage that I'd feel comfortable about it. You know what I mean? It's tough. It's very tough. How do you feel about Rondale Moore versus Seattle? I think he's in a perfectly good spot, mainly because they got to throw somebody the ball. He played a lot in the slot last week. His average depth of target was about 2 yards, which is awful. But of the 68 receiving yards last week, I believe 56 of them came after the catch. It's just a matter of them getting him more involved out of the backfield as a rushing threat, as a special teams returner, as a slot receiver within this offense. We saw Dortch dominate as a slot receiver within this offense earlier this season. So I think Rondale Moore, far more talented, far more upside, should be good this week in Seattle. Let's see here. Okay, so there was a couple more donations that were sent in. Let me go ahead and address them really quickly. So Dread sent in a question, says kicker has a bye week. I'm assuming you have Carlson. Moving on. Should I drop Ingram and hope that Pitts plays well? / does good, or drop Gibson for a kicker? Now, are we talking about Antonio Gibson? If that's who we're talking about, yes, I would drop Antonio Gibson. I think he's fully droppable at this point. I think Evan Ingram could very easily have a better week than Kyle Pitts. I'm not expecting that, but he very easily could. So it's in the realm of possibility. At this point, yeah, I would probably drop Antonio Gibson right now. Jason sends in a question, says, what's up, buddy? Police League here. Okay, let's see this. Just traded Fournette for Dalvin Cook. Good deal. Thanks, boss. What is your scoring format? Because if you're playing in a full PPR, I'm a little bit worried about that. Mainly because of what we've seen out of Fournette in the last couple weeks here and what his potential is most likely going to be. So I'm probably in a scenario, or in my mind, thinking, yeah, I'd rather have Fournette rest of the way. Earlier today, guys, if you guys are just joining us, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. I mean, for some of you on the East Coast, it's midnight. So thank you for joining us this morning in some scenarios. At this point, I do want to mention, earlier today, I did post a video on rest of season rankings. Top 36 running backs, wide receivers, half PPR, top 16 quarterbacks, and tight ends. Already some of those rankings have shooken up after tonight. But again, just kind of giving you a baseline. The issue with Cook is that he's not getting receptions. And that in a PPR is just, it's everything. There's a reason why in a PPR scoring format, I would rather have Derrick Henry than Nick Chubb rest of the way. Because what Derrick Henry is doing in the receiving game is absolutely unbelievable. So at this point, someone says it's 6 p.m. for me. Where are you, in Hawaii? Max, you in Hawaii? What are you doing over there, huh? So yeah, at this point, Chicago, 11 p.m. Yes. Okay. Yeah. You're 2 hours ahead. You're Central Time, right? So at this point, anyway, for the Police League, Dalvin Cook rested the way. I hope you have Madison. If you have Fournette, I hope you have Rachaad White. I mean, either way, both those guys have been injury prone in their careers. It's just a matter of who is going to score more touchdowns or potentially get more receptions. I like Fournette rest of the way. It could end up panning out the other direction, but for right now, Jason, I think it's, yeah, I think I just like Fournette a little bit more. Let's see here. Romeo T. Robot says, greetings and salutations, Andrew. PPR, Lazard or Najee this week? I play Lazard. Thank you. Key Johnson says 10-team league. Who would you start this week, Burrow or Geno? I talked about this a little bit earlier. Currently, I do have Burrow as my number 7 quarterback this week and Geno as my number 9. So I do prefer Burrow in that regard. Following up, you had another question saying, I have Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Swift, Breece Hall, incredible running backs. Looks like those are the guys that are going to win you the week. What running back would you give to get Travis Kelce? I would be willing to trade away DeAndre Swift right now for Travis Kelce. Again, he may not want that. If he doesn't, then you can go ahead and give him Breece Hall. If he doesn't want that, then no, thank you. We don't want Travis Kelce. So Saquon and Christian McCaffrey are off the table. He can have one of the two other guys there. Otherwise, no, thank you. Marcos Rivera says, should I? Yeah, but you want to sell Swift first out of the bunch, mainly because Jamal Williams' presence and Swift's injury proneness throughout his career thus far. Marcos says, should I trade Kenneth Walker for Cordero Patterson? No, I would keep Kenneth Walker. He's far better rest of the season in terms of the potential there. Let's see here. Did Max say that he was from Hawaii? Yeah, he did live in Hawaii. Thoughts on ETN rest of the season? Yeah, Rico, I think rest of season, as we kind of get through the next couple weeks here, we will continue to see the trend of most likely ETN getting more and more touches. More and more snaps going in his direction. More and more opportunities in which this team is going to be in scenarios where they're not always up and they can't always run the ball when they're up in those games. Like when they played against the Indianapolis Colts in week 2, the Colts didn't do anything offensively. You know, the running game was stifled. Of course, passing game did not exist without Michael Pittman out there. You go to the Chargers game the week after, the Chargers did not even show up because, you know, of course, we had Herbert dealing with the rib injury. When we're going to continue the rest of the season, I think it's going to be a little bit tougher. I think there's going to be more opportunities for the receiving back role to kind of blossom in this offense and be certainly a piece that we want to go ahead and invest in. What's up, Andrew? Wondering, I need a quarterback between T-Law, Danny Dimes, Pickett. I'm down bad. Okay, let me go ahead and check my rankings real quick here, dudes. So right now, I currently have Trevor Lawrence as my number 14 quarterback. I have Daniel Jones as my number 16 this week, and I have Kenny Pickett as my number 26 out of 28. So I would probably say let's go with Trevor Lawrence there against the Indianapolis Colts. It is not a fun matchup to be played, but they're division rivals. They're pretty familiar with each other. They were able to dot them up last time they took them on. So I'm kind of leaning in that direction because I don't think the other two have extremely high upside. Obviously, Daniel Jones is a little bit closer because of that rushing potential that he has and he presents on a weekly basis. Let's see here. MA says Amari Cooper, Gabriel Davis, Eno Benjamin. This weekend, full PPR. That is probably one of the tougher questions I have seen today. Actually, no, it's probably not one of the tougher ones. One of the other ones earlier today between Devonta Smith and Christian Kirk almost made my brain explode. But if we were going ahead and we were deciding between these options, look, you see what happens when I sit back, guys? See what happens when I sit back? I'm all the way up in here. Anyway, let's see here. Gabriel Davis, Amari Cooper, Eno Benjamin, full PPR. I'm probably leaning towards Gabriel Davis and then probably Eno Benjamin second if, in fact, we do not see Connor be active, and then it'll be Amari Cooper last there. So Gabriel Davis has got my nod for this week. I'm full in on him, dicing up this defense. Rondell Moore or Olave in the flex. Olave would be my suggestion there, Rico. Especially if Jameis Winston's back. Even if he's not, it doesn't bother me. But especially if Jameis Winston's back, he's got that much deep passing upside going forward because we know that Jameis likes to, you know, fire off those rockets just out of his arm, the cannon he has, and just let him loose, even if it's going to be an interception. Let's see here. Started Curtis Samuel in the flex. Yeah, that's brutal. Just a piece of advice, CMC, just for future weeks. If you're going to start someone on a Thursday night, make sure they're not in a flex. And the reason why I say this preemptively is because, for example, if we're in a scenario where you started someone in the flex position on Thursday and you get to Sunday and maybe a late injury scratch appears and you don't have the roster stability to where you can pivot well enough. Let's say, for example, just like a couple weeks ago, we saw Alvin Kamara on Sunday morning, last second out. You wouldn't be able to, if you didn't have any other running back options, to move someone into, you know, that running back spot. Instead, you would have, well, yeah, it just depends. The whole purpose of it, that was a bad example. Redact that. The whole purpose of it is just in case if something happens on Sunday morning regarding injuries, you have more flexibility. So you would always, if you know you're going to start someone on Thursday night, have them in a starting position and somebody else in the flex. Even if you expect to start that player, the whole point is just to have a little bit more flexibility just in case an injury is to appear later on in the week, because we always know that there, you know, are some here and there. Mostert or Gordon this week? I'm probably leaning towards Gordon this week there. Thank you. Let's see here. Oh, that was a question from Pierre, by the way. Would you trade Nick Chubb for Jonathan Taylor? Would I do the trade right now? Probably not. Probably not, no. It would be far too difficult for me to give away the free points that I'm getting every single week at such a high rate for Chubb. Maybe if Taylor wants to have himself a 20-point week, then I'd consider it. But right now, I'm fairly comfortable with what Chubb is giving me. And I think the differential between him and Jonathan Taylor isn't enough for me to have to make that switch rest of the season. Let's see here. Khalid said, interesting. Khalid said, what a name. Hey, Andrew, should I try to trade for anybody? I have an 18 full PPR league. The scoring format, my running backs are Swift, Kamara, Mixon, and Jacobs. Fantastic running backs. My wide receivers are Lamb, Jefferson. Nope, you don't need, no, sorry. Hey, listen, Khalid, the only thing that I would look to potentially do is try to solidify that tight end position. If you don't have Travis Kelce, if you don't have, I would say, obviously Travis Kelce, marking them their number 1 and 2. After that, it's Goddard and the thumbnail for today's video. Nope, not that one. This one. Tyler Higbee. It would be Goddard, Tyler Higbee, and then we're talking about, Kittle, Ertz, Waller, and Njoku. So if you are available to potentially make a trade for one of those top tier guys, you can send, for example, you're going to send away Jacobs and comes back Travis Kelce or Mark Andrews. I'm willing to make that trade just to make your, starting lineup a little bit stronger in that regard. If not, no problem. Just keep it a status quo because you got a really strong roster and a lot of depth at those two primary positions that can help you win a championship. Thoughts on Dobbins rest of the season? Focus. My biggest question mark around Dobbins is when are they going to start running the ball more? Because by the looks of this offense, they're pretty much picking up where they left off last year. In the idea that they're acting like they don't have any running backs. Like they're treating this offense like they have Devontae Freeman and Latavius Murray as their running backs right now. And if that's how they feel about J.K. Dobbins right now, to the point where they're not giving him enough touches, it scares me even more knowing that there is going to be a Gus Edwards unleashed in a couple weeks here, coming off the injured reserve, that could honestly look better than Dobbins. There's always a potential of that. So just putting it out there, I'm a little concerned on the matter. Patriots or Chargers defense rest of season, I would 100% rather play the Patriots. I know that Bill Belichick doesn't have as much. I mean, you know what? I was going to say he doesn't have as much talent. I would say he doesn't have as much name recognized talent on his defense. But in terms of schematically, they're always in good positions. They're always in positions to succeed. It's a matter of whether or not they take, the opportunity to do such a thing. As for the Chargers, their defense has been horrible. Last year, this year, the year before, that doesn't matter. The Chargers are the Chargers. They're always going to be bad at defense. Hopefully that's not going to be the case. I'm a Chargers fan, but it is the reality of the situation. I just want to make sure I didn't miss out on any donations that were sent in here. Marcos Rivera. Yeah, we already did that one. Just get it done says, interesting. Says, just get it done says, having trouble picking my wide receiver 2 in the flex. Okay, so we have Herbert at quarterback, Eckler running back, Hall. We have Diggs. We have CeeDee Lamb, Mike Williams, Olave, Eno Benjamin. Okay, we have a pretty good available group of players that we can roll in here for a full PPR scoring format. If we're thinking about a wide receiver 2 option, I'm probably leaning towards Chris Olave. And then my follow-up in terms of the flex full PPR, assuming that Keenan Allen plays, I think I might just play Eno Benjamin there and bench Mike Williams because I'm worried about the matchup against Denver. The follow-up question was sent from Jordan. Jordan says half PPR. Flex Akers, Gallup, Conklin, or Elijah Moore. I'm going to go with Akers there. I don't really feel much confidence in the other options that you've mentioned, so I just go with Akers there. I know he's coming off of a relatively underwhelming week. I'm sure they're going to get back to running the ball. Let's see here. Aaron Jones, is going to be okay. Yeah, I mean, listen, here's the thing about Aaron Jones. He has been hyper efficient. He's actually been better in terms of running the ball this season than he's ever been in his entire career. Okay, and this year they've had a lot of switch ups in terms of offensive line. If you guys have witnessed, a lot of teams in the National Football League have done this thing where they continue to rotate injured offensive linemen. Okay, now we've seen this primarily with the Green Bay Packers. David Bakhtiari, their former All-Pro left tackle coming off the ACL, we've seen him play one specific drive, one series, and then he's onto the bench the next series, and it's a different left tackle in there, and then. So he's playing every other drive. So even with those kind of rotations, even with the injuries that have taken place to this offensive line, he's still been hyper efficient. The only thing he's missing as of late is a little bit more, sprinkles of receptions and of course touchdowns. He'll get those. Those are on the way. I'm not worried about it. So yeah, I think he'll be fine. Thoughts on Kittle? I need help. Is he the answer? I mean, listen. Kittle has been the guy for the last 3 years. Now, obviously, they're using him as a blocker more than anything because of the absence of Trent Williams. But going forward, yes, I think he is still going to get back to being that 10-point tight end that we want him to be. It's just a matter of when, not, if. That's just the blatant answer that I can give you as simple as possible. Robbie says, hey, I'm 0-5. Should I trade Hop and Dillon for Jeff Wilson and Jacoby Myers? I'm okay with Jeff Wilson over Dillon. If we're sending DeAndre Hopkins, we're getting Jacoby Myers back. If it's a full PPR scoring format, I could justify it. Again, I'm assuming the reason why you want to make this trade is because you want to switch things up. I'm okay with it, Ravi. I think it is a moment in time within your season where you do got to make some moves, and I'm fine with this, just to kind of give you a little bit of a kind of boost of energy, resuscitation to your season, hopefully this week. Let's hear. Corey Olson sent in a question, said, all right, actually, let me just scroll up on the chat. I can get to Corey's question after we get to Kelvin. Kelvin says, start one, drop one. Hines, Warren, Coleman. I'm dropping Coleman. Elijah Mitchell will be back soon. Actually, you know what? If we have to start one, it might have to be Coleman. Oh, no. Wow. Okay, yeah, we're starting Coleman. If I'm dropping one, it's probably dropping Jalen Warren. Yeah, that's it. Wow. I never knew that was going to be the answer, but it is. Does anyone know if Andrew still does quarterback and tight end rankings? On Thursdays, what I've opted to do, and I'll remind you guys, some of you guys have heard me talk about this in the last couple weeks. The Thursday night games, as of the last 5 weeks, have been awful matchups for tight ends and quarterbacks, right? Like, let's think about tonight. Justin Fields and, Carson Wentz. Quarterbacks that we don't want to start. Obviously, Andrew's dumb enough to start Carson Wentz in a super flex. It is what it is. But as of right now, the last couple weeks, the week prior, Matt Ryan, Russell Wilson. Again, not the greatest quarterback plays. The week prior to that, Thursday Night Football, what was it? Let me find this. Week 3 NFL. It was, goodness gracious, come on, where is it? Week 3, we had Steelers versus Browns. Again, it was Trubisky versus Brissett. Didn't want to start any quarterbacks there. Over the last couple weeks, there really hasn't been a hard pull towards, okay, we need to have, rankings for those two positions out by Thursday. So instead, I've kind of opted to going with like trade target videos, rest of season rankings videos, rest of season strength of schedule videos on Thursday afternoons, just to kind of give you guys more information in that regard. We've opted to then just moving the quarterback and tight end rankings to Sundays. They're on screen, available to you for free. So again, yes, you don't hear more information regarding stats regarding these players. But if you have a question regarding a quarterback, be sure to just type it in the comment section, or potentially in this live chat right now, and I'll try to get to it. But yeah, that's the main impetus as to why I haven't been prioritizing those videos over other ones, mainly because the Thursday Night Football games they haven't been good enough to justify putting out rankings that early in the week for those positions. Where can I see your kicker rankings? Pierre says, I currently have all rankings available on Patreon. So my Patreon, I provide, so this is the way it works for those of you who are interested in potentially supporting in that matter. I'll just give you like a brief overview. So what Patreon does is that if you sign up and you pledge, I think it's $9.99 a month, you can ask me however many questions you want. It's unlimited questions. You just direct message me either on the Patreon website themselves within their messenger, or you friend me on Discord and you can just message me however many questions you want. And then besides that, I have rankings for half PPR and full PPR at the primary positions: quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. I have top 120 flex every Sunday morning. I also have kicker defense rankings, so that's where you would find it. So if you're interested, there's a link down in the description if you want to go check that out. You don't have to join, but again, if that's something that interests you, be sure to check that out, and appreciate you supporting the channel. All right, let's see here. Thoughts on the Rams? Listen, dude. We're not gonna talk about the Rams. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to close the stream because I'm gonna get pissed off. Don't even get me started with the Rams. Luckily, we won a championship last year, okay? Because it looks like our window has quickly closed with Matthew Stafford, which is absolutely crazy to just even say. All right, Corey Olson says, I had to start Brian Robinson tonight because of the bye week. He surprised me mostly. Do you think he could be a weekly play going forward? Yes, I do believe so, mainly because this offense has always given their running backs a boatload of opportunities. Again, if we just kind of put it in perspective as to what exactly we saw earlier this year with Antonio Gibson, okay? Antonio Gibson was a fantastic running back for fantasy purposes, just purely off the fact that they didn't have, Brian Robinson active. We knew in the preseason that Antonio Gibson was going to play second fiddle to Brian Robinson. And what did Antonio Gibson do? Week 1, 14 rushing attempts. Week 2, 14. Week 3, 12. Week 4, 13. And in those games, 16.5 fantasy points, 11.1, 10.5, 7.8. Now, if we go into a scenario where we're pivoting in the direction of giving Brian Robinson upwards of 15 to 20 carries per game in an offense that, of course, wants to run the ball a bunch, we saw specifically last year, Antonio Gibson in 16 games, 258 rushing attempts. If they're going to be in that realm of possibility of giving him those many, that many touches, and be the goal line back, yeah, he's absolutely a weekly starter going forward. Probably not as good as some other options because he doesn't have receiving upside, considering Antonio Gibson is still there and J.D. McKissic is always an option. Hey, Andrew, I hope all is well. Do I trade Najee for Dobbins and Godwin? Yes, I would. Absolutely smash that trade. Steve Bateman says, trade Debo for Chase. Yes, I would do that. Absolutely. Kittle equals blocker. Yep, you're right. You're not wrong. You're not wrong in that analysis. But hopefully, eventually, Kittle will equal. I don't know how we'll get to there. Listen, we're going to have to do some crazy math. But eventually, Kittle will equal touchdown. And when we get to that point, it'll be fantastic. Let's see here. There was a couple more donations sent in. Should I trade Debo for AJ Brown? I'm okay with that. I mean, they're relatively close to my rankings. I do worry about AJ Brown mainly because, like I mentioned earlier, you know, Jalen Hurts has only thrown 4 passing touchdowns this year. He is not, you know, he's not the gunslinger that we want him to be. So AJ Brown's touchdown upside is very limited, which is very concerning for his rest of season potential. That being said, you did mention that your starters are Hurts, Stevenson, Montgomery, Chase, Debo, and you have Andrews and you have Garrett Wilson. If you're going to make this switch, I don't mind it. Yeah, I don't mind it. I mean, I'm trying to think, is Jimmy Garoppolo really? No. I'd rather have AJ Brown, Jalen Hurts stack rest of the season. That's probably where I'd go with. Let's see here. The real G Squared says, thoughts on Khalil Shakir, Rachaad White rest season. Khalil Shakir will be in the rotation to get some reps. As to whether he's the starter in the slot, that's very unlikely unless something happens to Isaiah McKenzie. As for Rachaad White, he has the potential of being a pretty decent top 36 running back this week, mainly because there's going to be a lot of garbage time potential for him to score against the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. If you guys remember last week, after that, you know, Buffalo Bills team as a whole mounted a pretty sizable lead. We saw James Cook come in, score himself a touchdown, and be a decent fantasy option for us. So I think Rachaad White could be that. But as for rest of season, he is purely just an insurance policy. If anything happens to Fournette, you got to remember Fournette has never played a full healthy season in his career. Rachaad White would fill in, and honestly, he's a pretty good fill-in option too because he has the receiving potential, and we've seen him, actually be a good, decent running back. What do you think about Burrow's production going forward? I'm hoping it improves. Obviously, I think we're going to have a little bit more of this Super Bowl hangover kind of trend continue. It is unfortunate, but the issue with Burrow is his offensive line. We thought that they fixed it. In fact, it was the complete opposite. They broke it even more, which kind of sucks. But my preseason aspirations of Burrow going for 5,000 passing yards and 40 passing touchdowns, it's still on the table, but it's extremely unlikely that we even get into that scenario. I think Burrow bringing us 2 passing touchdowns and 250 yards in a given week is best case scenario for right now. Butker or Bass? I don't even know if Butker's healthy, so I'm going to go with Bass there. Corey Olson says, do you think Tyler Algier is worth the stash? No, honestly, I would drop him at this point. That's just my opinion. I'm not too excited about him. Doesn't get any PPR work, doesn't get any goal line carries. He's kind of in that odd position of just being in between the 20s running back, which I'm not really interested in kind of investing in. Okay, we caught up to everyone's questions except for a couple more here. Real G Squared sent in another one, says Freiermuth or Taysom Hill this week. Freiermuth is in concussion protocol. This is his 3rd concussion in the last 12 months. I would play Taysom Hill. Joshua Wilkins says, my running backs are Mixon, Gordon, Dobbins, Jamal, Singletary, Brian Robinson, half PPR. Would you drop any of these players for Rachaad White? Dobbins, Jamal, Singletary. No, I probably wouldn't. I think the only player I would consider doing that with is Singletary, but at this point, I don't think I'm willing to make that swap, considering you don't even have Fournette to need to make that swap. So yeah, I'm probably keeping Singletary there just to have a little bit more running back depth that I can utilize when bye weeks are hitting me hard or any sort of injury situation that you may have. I don't know why I said hard like that. I said hard, like I got an accent or something like that. All of a sudden, an accent kind of kicked in there, huh? What do you guys think about picking up Dak off the waivers? I replaced Josh Allen in week 7. Not sure. Yeah, I think this is a fantastic option, mainly because even if it's just to pick him up and play him as a 1-week guy, you could very easily take Dak Prescott, see a string of weeks in which he plays well, then trade him away to a team that is desperately in need of a quarterback. You know what I mean? Leftover says, thoughts on David Njoku being a top producing tight end rest of the season? What did I have him earlier today at? I think I had him at my number 8 rest of season. I mean, I had him there in the beginning of the season, right? You guys remember how many videos I put out praising David Njoku. I'm just hoping that he continues to be as good as he's been, and if not better, maybe find the end zone a little bit more. Thoughts on Alex Pierce rest of the season? I think he should be fine. He's probably like a higher end wide receiver 4. I just don't know if I could trust Matt Ryan enough to get him enough value. That's the biggest concern there. Matt Ryan's the issue. But maybe if this offense turns it around, they start running the ball more, a little bit more play actions utilized, maybe they can get some more, I guess, overall production in that regard. Okay, how long have we been here for? Just about like a little bit more than an hour, I would say. I want to thank you guys for joining us today. There's about 300 of you in the chat. I do appreciate you guys being here. I know it's late for some of you. I know you got work tomorrow morning. I appreciate you guys coming out today and supporting the channel. Of course, if you haven't yet already, be sure to click the like button down below. Greatly helps us out. Also, for those of you who want to continue to play more daily fantasy, PrizePicks is the way to do it. If you guys haven't checked out PrizePicks, again, even though my luck there hasn't been great, I'm going to figure it out one of these days. And when I do, those numbers are going to start rolling in for me. Again, if you guys want to play more, you can use promo code Andrew today when you sign up and make a first-time deposit. You'll be given a first-time deposit match up to $100. There's a link down in the description for those of you who are interested. Check out PrizePicks today. Thank you. All right, let's see here. Boom. What do we got? All right. Pick 2. Lockett, Myers, Boyd, Zay Jones, DJ Moore. Okay, Lockett for sure. I think the next best option in a full PPR is definitely Myers there. Do you think Geno will continue his run of 20+ games this week? It's tough to say. I mean, 20+ points. I don't know if he's going to go for 20+ fantasy points this week, but I think he's going to be a pretty... I mean, listen, I'm expecting Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, and Will Disley to be good options this week. So if he puts up 20 points, I won't be surprised. But I'm probably leaning in the direction that he's most likely going to be in that 17 to 19 range. That's kind of where I have him projected, at least. Okay, a couple more donations were sent in here. Steve Cook says, I'll sub for some analysis. LOL. I don't even know. Is that passive aggressive? I don't know. Maybe that was ironic. I don't even understand the comment. But hey, if you're going to sub, I appreciate that. It's kind of hard to sometimes read your guys' text and like understand the full like tone of it. It's tough because text is hard to read. You guys know that. What do you guys think about Taysom? Okay, would you pick up? Yeah, I would pick up Taysom Hill and probably start him this week, to be honest, Corey. Mainly because Michael Thomas, Jarvis Landry injured. And if that's going to be the case, I expect Taysom Hill to get a couple runs today. I mean, this weekend, specifically against Cincinnati. Trey Tipton said, I traded Ramondre, Gallup, and Wentz for Justin Herbert. We have Higgins and Boone. Okay. Ramondre, Gallup, and Wentz. Okay. I mean, that's fine. I have Kupp, Hollywood. So you traded this to get that. I'm fine with that. Obviously, the quarterback upgrade is significant enough to be worth it. No, I've been asking about my trade. Sorry about that, Steve. Type it. I'll try to answer it. Let's see here. What do we have? I have TJ on bye. Do I start Taysom? Yeah, I would. As of right now, let me just give you some perspective, guys. Where do I have Taysom ranked right now? Okay, so I go to my half PPR. Taysom is my number 10 tight end of the week. So yeah, let's play him this week. Because again, there's no Michael Thomas, there's no Jarvis Landry. That's when he steps up and plays the best. Pickens available on waiver. Do I drop Michael Thomas for him? I probably wouldn't. I would probably wait. I mean, I don't even know what Michael Thomas's situation is. Here's the main thing. If you don't have an injured reserve spot to kind of hold him in that position, we'd be in a tough spot there, right? And then we may have to move him. But I think I want to try to kind of rinse Michael Thomas of his name as much as I possibly can and use him as like some sort of trade bait before I look to try to drop him. You know what I mean? Coleman is Jeff Wilson's handcuff for now until Jeff Wilson is Elijah Mitchell's handcuff. You know what I mean? Where was Steve? Steve, where are you at? Where's your question, my man? Here we go. Andrew, I traded Hunt/Godwin for JT, Donovan Peoples-Jones in a PPR. How you like this trade? Okay, and then who are your rest of your running backs? You have Jones, you have Zeke, you have Pierce, you have Jonathan. So I traded that for that. Okay, yeah, I mean, considering you have pretty good wide receiver. Wait, what is your wide receiver depth? You have Diggs, you have Dobbs, you have Thielen, you have DPJ. I'm okay with this. I mean, again, Hunt to me is an 8-point guy every single week. If he scores a touchdown, fantastic, but he's not gonna always do that. Godwin, on the other hand, he's a slow ramping burn that will get better as the season progresses. But right now, the fact that you're able to get Jonathan Taylor, I don't even care about Donovan Peoples-Jones. I would have taken Jonathan Taylor for both these players, and I don't even need DPJ back in return. I think that's a W of a trade. Let's see here. What do you think about picking up Dak off waivers? Yeah, I think we answered that. Let me go ahead and scroll down a little bit more. Trade Hollywood for Pierce. If you need a running back that badly, then yes, I would say this is the moment to do it. Njoku or Hill, full PPR. Let me check here. Full PPR, I have Njoku higher than him. Mainly because it is full PPR. Let's see here. Brian Choi, let me get to your question in just a moment, please. There were a couple more that were sent in. Okay, we did Tipton's question. Do you think D-Hop will be lineup lock? Yeah, I think so. I could very easily see DeAndre Hopkins being a top 24 every single week once he's back. Thoughts on Robinson 17 touches? I love it. Can't say enough about it. I absolutely love to see it. Should I start George Pickens? If you're looking for 8 targets, 6 catches, 50 yards, full PPR, 11 points, half PPR, what is that? What's the math? 7.5? I think that's pretty much what we'll get from him this week. Obviously, there's upside of a touchdown, but it's rare. Troy, where's your question, my man? I don't see any Troy questions in here. Let me get to it. Troy, where you at? Troy, where are we at, my man? Troy. Oops, that's not how you spell Troy. That's not how you spell Troy either. Troy, should I trade Diggs for Hopkins and Jacobs? If you need a running back, I'm perfectly fine doing so. I think Diggs is ridiculously good right now, and I don't think he's slowing down. But again, if you need that running back, wide receiver kind of splash, specifically you need the running back, I'm okay making that move. Obviously, I'd look to try to move Diggs for someone like McCaffrey first and foremost. And if you can get away with something like that, that's what you go for first, and then you can kind of move and pivot down to Jacobs and Hopkins. Appreciate it, Troy. Okay, so Brian Choi, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Says, should I trade Jamar Chase for Tyreek Hill and Devonta Smith? Yeah, I'm perfectly fine with that. Perfectly fine with that. Thoughts on Calvin Austin III for the Steelers? An unknown, but had hype like Pickens. Here's the thing. I have no interest at all in Calvin Austin III. I could be just completely misguided, but at this point, no interest. No thoughts either. Elijah Mitchell is on my waiver wire. Should I stash him? Yes. If you have a IR spot, he should be filled into it. Taysom Hill is boom or bust, with mostly busts. I mean, here's the thing though. Even though that technically is true, if you look at weeks 1, 2, 3, they had Jarvis and they had Michael Thomas active in all 3 of those games. What was recently the benefactor for him playing more was the fact that they had Andy Dalton at quarterback and they had no Michael Thomas, they had no Jarvis Landry, and Chris Olave left that game with a concussion. So if we're in the realm of possibility, yes, Jameis is back, but Olave is the only healthy wide receiver, and they have to throw to Traquan Smith and Marquez Callaway more often. Obviously, they have Kamara, but I think running the ball will be something that they want to continue to do. That being said, it's a moment of thinking, hey, when they get down to the goal line, if Taysom Hill just punches it in for a touchdown and then maybe tacks on 20 rushing yards, 8 points at the tight end position is no joke. That honestly is like top 12 upside. Dre said, missed my question. It's highlighted. I'm pretty sure I answered it. Maybe you missed it. Yeah, I answered it a little bit ago. Maybe you missed my response. I was saying that, yes, I do believe that DeAndre Hopkins, once he's active, is a top 24 lock every single week, and honestly could be better than that because we know what DeAndre Hopkins is capable of. Hopefully he's not on the Julio decline because of how long he's been in the league, but hopefully the first 6 weeks being off on his body has kind of let him not have to take as much damage, and he could, go out pretty strong for the next couple weeks here. Brees, Pierce, or JT? What is this context? Is this week? Is this rest of the season? What's the dealio there? PPR, Ron. Yeah, I would play Rondell Moore this week. Pick up Dak for Josh Allen? No. Keep Josh Allen. What are we talking about? No. Pick up Dak for Josh Allen's bye week, yes, but not for him. No. You would always want to keep Josh Allen. You never drop him in any capacity. Even if he tears his ACL, you keep him on the team as a cheerleader. Okay. Who do we miss in terms of questions? Corey Olson sent in another one, said, I have Dallas Goedert. Would you play him over Taysom Hill? Yes, I would. And do I hold Travis Etienne? Yes, hold Travis Etienne. Abso-freaking-lutely. Also, took a swing on Jameson Williams. Do you know when he'll be back? My assumption is that he'll probably be back by week 8, but that could be wishful thinking. Joseph says, please answer my question. Joseph, if you had put your question here, I would have answered it. I swear, I was literally about to go straight down. I just traded Dak for Russ today. Did I mess that up? I would say that there's a potential that you may have, but hopefully Russell Wilson, based on the strength of schedule getting a little bit easier, may kind of make it easier for him to score fantasy points. I'm just, oh man, that's tough. Also, let me know if you answered any of my questions. I might have left and come back. Yeah, Max, I definitely did answer some of, you know what, to be honest, I don't know. I've answered a lot of questions, so I can't 100% say that I did or did not, so just type it in and I'll try to get to it. Sit one, I'm sitting probably Dobbins. Oh, no, I'm probably not sitting. I'm probably playing Eno. I'm probably playing Dobbins, and I'm probably playing Kenneth Walker, and I'm waiting for ETN. Maybe. I don't know, man. That's tough. I think by Sunday I'll have a better indication as to what I want to do there. But I know I'm playing Eno, and I know I'm playing Dobbins. I don't know about Walker or ETN as of yet. What's your take on Walker running back going forward? Should be pretty good option, probably top 24. If they score touchdowns in the red zone via the rushing game, then obviously he's a main benefactor. My only issue is that he's not going to get any work in the receiving game, which makes him a far less reliable option on a weekly basis, which obviously hurts for fantasy purposes. Morph says Breece Hall and Sutton for Saquon and Ertz. My tight end is Waller. You're sending Breece Hall and Sutton, and you're getting Saquon and Ertz in return. I'm okay with that. As long as you have wide receiver depth, I'm absolutely okay with that. Yeah, you know what? Smash that trade immediately, Morph, if you can do that, please. Thank you. What do I do with DJ Moore? Hold him and maybe wait for a big week, then trade him? Something like that. Will Jameson Williams be back after the bye week? Yes, after the bye week, but maybe even further than that, because I don't know when his injured reserve... because technically... Once you come off injured reserve, the team has 3 weeks to designate you off the injured reserve. So they could really lag it if they wanted to. Most disappointing player this year, Steelers fan? Yeah, it's probably Najee Harris. I would say easily it's Najee Harris. In terms of the highest drafted player with the least amount of production put forward, it is definitely Najee Harris right now, it's brutal. I wish Ben Roethlisberger was the quarterback so they could, figure it out again. But they're in those transition years, and they're just going to have to figure it out. All right. There were a couple more donations sent in here. What do we have here? Marion said, trade thoughts, full PPR, Pittman, Gallup for Lamb, Dillon, Boone. Yeah, give me Lamb and Dillon rest of the season there. Follow-up question. My wide receivers are... We have that. Yeah, I mean, if we're looking for trade suggestions, I think this is a fantastic one. If you're going to trade Pittman and you're going to get Lamb in return, yes, please. No questions asked. I'm all in on that idea. As for further questions in terms of trade to potentially move forward with, you can maybe take Dillon and try to trade him to the Aaron Jones manager and see what you can get in exchange for it. Gio Stir says Chase for Jonathan Taylor. Yes, I'll take Jonathan Taylor for Jamar Chase. Jose Vasquez, let me see if you had a question typed in the chat. We'll see if we can get to it. Where's Jose? Jose. Oh, there's Joseph. Joseph says, do you think I can still make the playoffs? 0-5. We have Hurts. We have Kamara. We have JT. We have Brees. How are you 0-5 with this team, my man? Actually, now I can think about it. Kamara didn't do anything for the first couple of weeks. JT has been pretty much the same. Kenneth Walker didn't show up till now. ETN didn't show up till now. Dobbs has been okay. CeeDee Lamb has been okay. Olave's been fantastic. Okay. Yeah, I think you should be... listen, I know it's tough to sit at 0-5, but I truly do think you have enough talent on this team to make a run. Obviously, you got to win out, but you've got the talent to do it. They just got to stay healthy. Thoughts on... And again, when we continue to go through these weeks, I know you're 0-5, but you got to think about it just 1 week at a time, and the idea that like the next team that you play up against... If they have injury issues, if they have a bipocalypse, you could easily steal some wins here, even when you're not supposed to, and have some major weeks. Where's Jose? Let me see here. Where's Jose? So we did Joseph's question. We got to him. Sorry that it took that long, Joseph. My apologies. I saw that you typed a lot. Jose, where are we at, my man? Jose Jose, let's see here. What are you saying? I have Jonathan Taylor and Michael Pittman in the same team. Should I go ahead and trade Pittman for a better wide receiver? I have Evans, Olave, and Juju. I don't mind trading them. Yeah, if you can trade them and get a better wide receiver technically, then yeah, you should. Let's see here. A couple more questions sent in. All right. Bix had sent in a couple. I'd seen Bix for a while. I'd seen Rambling Man for a while. We're gonna get to these guys in just okay. So let's start with Rambling Man. Would you trade Hunt and Robinson for maybe Lockett or Sutton? Yes, I would trade both of them for both of them. I'd rather have Lockett and Sutton over Robinson and Hunt rest of the season. 13-man redraft. 13. Evan, next time you're in a 13-man league, let me know. I'll be the 14th guy. Like, what are we doing with 13? Someone has a bye week every week. What are we doing, guys? Come on, we gotta lock this in. One flex spot, starting lineup. Mahomes, Fournette, Christian McCaffrey, Higgins, Evans, Fryer, Muth. Okay, we got a pretty solid starting lineup here. I mean, your 3 running backs in itself, all top 10 guys in my opinion this week. Higgins is probably not going to play. Evans, Fryer, Muth is probably not going to play this week. So you got to figure out a wide receiver 2, and you got to figure out a tight end this week. So what do we have on the bench? We have Deontay, we have Dobbs, we have Davis. So Davis probably should be that wide receiver 2 option this week. And then you probably should go picking up either Hayden Hurst or Taysom Hill for that tight end this week. That's my suggestion. That's the moves that you need to make for this week. As for rest of season, you got a pretty solid team. If you can go ahead and backpack a huge week from Stevenson this week, let's say Stevenson goes for 20 points. I would try to backpack that into a trade in which I'm going ahead and upgrading him for a better running back option. So if I can move Stevenson, let's say Taylor has another poor week, I would move Stevenson, try to go get Taylor, even if I have to give up Deontay with it or somebody like that. You know what I mean? 14-team PPR, Barkley for Kupp or Jefferson. No, I think I'm keeping Barkley. It's really hard to have sustainable running back consistency in this league, even in a full PPR. I know Kupp and Jefferson could potentially outscore him, but again, running back is so valuable. I have Taylor, I have Breece and Sutton. My only other wide receiver worthy is Michael Thomas. Okay, so that's your issue. I would feel far more comfortable taking Taylor or Breece Hall and moving them for a wide receiver than moving Barkley right now. He's my number 1 rest of season running back. I don't want to move him off my board or off my roster. Let's see here. Start Michael Pittman or CeeDee Lamb this week. I'm going with CeeDee Lamb this week, even in the matchup, even with Cooper Rush, to be honest. I don't really trust Matt Ryan in any capacity. Cooper Kupp and Cooks for JT and Lamb. Yeah, I'll take JT and Lamb. Joe Mixon and Melvin Gordon this week. I slightly have Joe Mixon ahead of him, but man, it wouldn't be out. Oh man, why does Melvin have to play the Chargers this week? I'm probably still playing Joe Mixon though. Should I trade Josh Reynolds should I trade Josh Reynolds? I don't know what this means. Over Randall Cobb? I'm assuming this meant like for Randall Cobb. Yeah, I don't mind doing that trade. I mean, again, at this point, both these guys are like wide receiver 3s, maybe wide receiver 4s with upside. I'm not really like banking on them saving my season. So I don't mind either of them. I don't feel one way or the other, significantly like, I just don't have the passion to kind of like pick one over the other. They're just kind of middle of the pack guys. Obviously, Reynolds has been pretty good as of late, but should I pick up Julio? No. Don't save yourself the pain. Save yourself the misery that he brings as of late. You think I should trade away Hollywood? Also, what about Olave? I would keep Olave. Hollywood, you don't have to trade him away. No. I mean, at this point, he's played well enough to where I think he deserves to, maintain a roster spot. And then he's still going to be, in that same capacity, a top 16 option rest of the way, in my opinion. Ramiro says, trade Dalvin Cook for Swift and Debo. Yes, please give me Swift and Debo. Man, how are you guys getting these trade options, man? Dude, guys, I've told you guys a million times. In my leagues, if Andrew goes knocking for a trade, people start locking up doors and moving pieces away from me. Like if I show up and I say, hey, I would like to trade for your Amon-Ra St. Brown. And Amon-Ra St. Brown has had 0 points for 6 consecutive weeks, okay? The team that I'm knocking on the door will immediately go for my best player. Say, you know what, Andrew, we want Leonard Fournette off your team and your starting quarterback, Jalen Hurts. I'm like, how is that even fair? They're like, well, then we can't make a deal. I'm like, What the heck is going on here? Everyone's trying to completely rinse my lineup because they know if Andrew comes knocking for a player, they should value that player higher. So sometimes I use that for my advantage. I go knocking for players that I don't care about and then manage finding deals later on. So I show up, I say, hey, what's it going to take for me to get Najee Harris off your team? And they're like, oh, wow, this guy wants Najee Harris. Najee must be good rest of the way. They ask for the entire barn. I say I can't offer the barn. I pivot to a different player. How you doing? Keep it moving. We find ourselves a trade. Anyway, those are the tactics. All right, so Ramiro, we did that one. Ranfi, where the heck did your message go, my man? Let's see here. All right, Jimenez, it says 12 team, 3-2, anything. Okay, so let's see here. We have Kyler, we have JT, we have Saquon. So you got two of the best running backs in the league. You have CeeDee Lamb in Hollywood, you're good to go there. Taysom Hill, okay. You have Damian Pierce, another fantastic running back. Ramondre, you got Walker, you got Brian Robinson. Dude, find someone who is desperate for a running back and go upgrade wide receiver. Go upgrade tight end. I mean, that's the main thing. Go find someone who is desperate for a running back and has one of those primary tight ends that is, obviously it's going to be tough to go ahead and get Kelsey and Andrews, but if you can go get Goddard right now, I think that's a huge potential boost. Like, you have so much running back depth that I'm willing to go and trade Brian Robinson or Kenneth Walker away just to get a tight end, because I don't think Taysom Hill is the answer for the rest of the season. But if you can make an upgrade there to have that rest of season guy, you're in a fantastic position because you got a great roster over just across the board there. Gabe, man, hope you're doing well. Says, question. What's your question, my man? Taysom Hill or Devonta Smith, full PPR? Devonta Smith this week. Trade Cook for Kelsey. If you have enough running back depth, sure. If you don't, then do not even consider it. Washington signed Derek Lutz. The only Lutz I know is a kicker. So I don't know what. Maybe this is a different Washington. Maybe it's not football. I don't know what you guys talking about. Rams injury updates. Everyone's hurt. It's all bad. I don't know. Injury updates in regards to what? The offensive line? Or in regards to Cooper Kupp, Matthew Stafford? That's the main question. We'll know by tomorrow. Tomorrow is the really big... Okay, guys, so this is how it works. If you are looking to figure out what the heck the injury concerns are within a given week, Friday's the biggest day to kind of get a full indication as to what we're looking at. So if I go to the Rams official website, okay, and I go to their injury report, where they're legally bound to actually report their practice report injured players, okay, because if they don't, they get fined $50,000 for every incorrect indication. They had that problem a couple years ago. I think the Detroit Lions were fined $50K for not designating Matthew Stafford limited in a practice. I don't know what it was. So right now, Brian Allen, their starting center, did not practice 2 days in a row. The backup center is on the injured reserve, so they're still with the third-string offensive lineman. Cooper Kupp was limited on Thursday. Tyler Higbee was limited on Thursday. Aaron Donald did not practice all week long thus far. Who else do we have a problem with? Taylor Rapp is a full practice. Cam Akers did not practice, but that was mainly because of a personal injury, not a knee injury or anything of that extent. So, again, injury-wise, offensive line sucks. And do not worry about Kupp or Higbee. They'll be fine. That is the gist of what I just gathered off of just looking at that for a quick glimpse. Andrew, you skipped my question. Please help me out. Sure. What's the question? let me see here. Simply, let's see what you got here, my man. Simply says quarterback is Murray. We have Montgomery, Josh Jacobs, Najee. We have Jamal Williams. Wide receivers are Sutton, Christian Kirk, DJ Moore, Irv Smith, Pat Freiermuth. I'm 1-4. Any suggestions? Yes, I have a lot of suggestions. In fact, we got to get Najee off the squad. We got to get Jamal Williams probably on the move as well. I would also look to move DJ Moore and try to move Irv Smith and Pat Freiermuth. So I am looking to probably and potentially move 7 players off your team and only ask for 2 in return. I would legitimately do that. At this point at 1-4, I know I'm not totally panicking, but I'm willing to move a lot of these pieces and get anything back. Like, if I can move Jamal Williams and Najee Harris and get back a decent running back that I could use in my flex, like actually like a top 20, let me give you a name. If I can move Najee Harris and Jamal Williams and somehow, some way get Aaron Jones a return, I know it's a stretch, but if I can do that, I would do it immediately in a heartbeat. I'd even throw DJ Moore. I'll go 3 for 1 there. I don't care. I just need to get these bums off the team. And I need to make a move now before we get into a position where, you know, we're in a yeah, we're in a spot where we just can't even recover. As for your tight ends, it's going to be hard to make an upgrade because you really do need upgrades at other. Okay, Kirk Cousins, sorry, not Kirk Cousins, Christian Kirk and Sutton, they're going to be your starting wide receivers for the rest of the year. I don't think you need to touch that. I think you just need to address flex, which is, again, with Najee Harris and Jamal Williams, trying to move that. Because once DeAndre Swift comes back, Jamal Williams is going to be less of a friendly option in that flex option. So, yeah, we're moving Najee, we're moving Jamal, we're moving DJ. Try to go for 3 for 1. Give me a stud flex option that you can go get the best option you could potentially find out there. We'll be good to go. Boom. Where are we at? Boom. Should I only trade Diggs for McCaffrey? Not only. It's not like a, hey, you have to do this. But it's a matter of like, if I'm trading away Diggs, okay, let's put this in perspective. We're talking about a full PPR scoring format right now. Let's see here. Full PPR. Let me change the format. Okay. Full PPR right now, Cooper Kupp is the number 1 overall player with 132 points. Number 2 is Stephon Diggs. Number 3 is Justin Jefferson. Number 4 is Austin Eckler. Number 7 is Saquon Barkley, okay? This is why somebody was asking me earlier, hey, would you trade Saquon Barkley for Kupp? Listen, I understand. Kupp is a machine in full PPR. You know what? Now that I'm looking at his points, 31, 16, 26, 26, I'm starting to consider it as an option to maybe make that trade because Barkley really doesn't catch the ball enough. So maybe we just make that trade, whoever was asking that earlier. But the thing is, if you're going to give the second best player in fantasy up, you need to probably go get Austin Eckler. At this point, go get Austin Eckler, go get Saquon Barkley. Yeah, if you're going to give up Diggs, those are the guys that I want at this point. Looking at that, because usually, guys, I'm primarily a half PPR because I'm trying to meet everyone in the middle. I don't want to isolate anybody by just talking about full PPR or just standard. So I try to meet everyone in the middle with a half PPR. But as right now, looking at the board across the way, like, dude, holy crap. Like, I don't want to give up the second best player in fantasy for something that's far less. So don't sell your Diggs short. You know what I mean? Okay. So we had a couple more questions sent in here. Okay, so let me catch up here. So if I scroll back up here, okay, so Mr. Jimenez, okay, Shannon, we're gonna get to that in a moment. Michael, okay, Michael says flex 2, Devonta Smith, Kenneth Walker, Deontay Johnson, ETN, Bateman. At this moment, Bateman's injured. Deontay is probably off the radar for me. I'm probably leaning in this direction, going Devonta Smith and Kenneth Walker. Trading for Adams, I have AJ, D-Hop, Sutton, and Kirk. Yeah, if you can trade for Adams, I don't think it's a bad idea. Let's see here. Shannon Yoon says, trade Connor, Tyreek, Hawkinson for Henry, Schultz, and Davis. No. Let me give you the reason why. Henry's a fantastic pickup, but Schultz is injured. I don't think he's even going to play this week, to be totally honest. I, in fact, think that the indication that they signed another tight end earlier today leads me to believe that his knee injury is a lot more complicated than they purely expected at first. Corey Davis, I don't know what you would even do with him except drop him. So I'd rather keep these guys. Shannon, thank you. Who would I be starting? 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a flex? Okay, Randfee, let's see. So so 2 running backs. So this week you start JT and you start Saquon. 2 wide receivers, CeeDee Lamb and Hollywood. You're fine there. Pierce is on bye. You play Ramondre in the flex. That's it. Easy. Good to go, my man. Okay, so we're scrolling back down. Where are we at here? All right, good night, CMC. Panda, Mayhem. Let's hear Panda. Where are we at? Panda, you didn't type any questions in? I appreciate the donation. If you had a question, please let me know. Let's see here. Should I trade Amon-Ra St. Brown for DeAndre Swift? Half PPR, sure. Full PPR, give me Amon-Ra. Full, what is this question? Full PPR 18 league. My running backs are Stevenson, Jacob, CEH, Connor. My wide receivers are Thoughts on running backs I can get. If you're trying to move these potential wide receiver options or running back options for running backs, I think you should very easily be able to move Stevenson after this week, like specifically after this week, because you want him to have another big performance to kind of sell him off that. Unless you think you can sell him off the 18. Well, actually, it's more points in a full PPR. What do you have full PPR? Like 20 points? 20-point performance. If you can sell him off the 20-point performance, along with, I mean, if you're trying to get a running back in return right now, there's a lot of guys I'd rather have. I'd rather go for Mixon. I'd rather go for Jones. I'd rather go for Cook, Kamara. Give me those guys if you can get them. If you can get Breece Hall, if you can get Dameon Pierce, let me have them on roster, because those are the guys I'd much rather prefer to get. But if you're going to have to move Stevenson with another option, maybe like with Connor or maybe with CEH, you might be able to go ahead and pull one of those guys in that trade. GWB29, thank you very much for the donation. I greatly appreciate it. 12-man PPR, Mahomes, Swift, Walker, Pittman, Adams, Everett. What's the question? Because this is a pretty good looking team, under the assumption, of course, that we're playing in a full PPR, because right now Everett is kind of worrisome to me. Swift, obviously, once he comes back, he's going to be fine. Walker's okay as a running back too. These guys are perfectly fine. So Everett's the biggest problem. We need to upgrade tight end desperately. Mike Koch says James Robinson, Corey Davis for Higbee. I'm okay with that. Yeah, I mean, listen, we need tight end, and the guy has 48 targets in the first 5 weeks and 33 receptions. Most tight ends out of all tight ends, most targets amongst all tight ends right now, and he's tied with Travis Kelce with the most receptions at the tight end position. I'm all in on Higbee. Mr. Nepal says, I got Lamar, Cook, Barkley, Sutton, Allen, Hawk. We have Moore, Zeke, J.K. Dobbins. We have Hopkins. We have Jamal Williams. Okay. What types of trades should I look for? Looking for Andrews. Okay, so if you're looking to upgrade at tight end, who do you have at tight end? You have Hawkinson. So in order to get Mark Andrews, you're going to have to give a tight end. So you'd have to give, first and foremost, Hawkinson. And then I'm assuming you'd probably also have to give, legitimately, a plethora of players or one stud. Now, this would only take place if, in fact, he has no running backs. You could very easily give him Dalvin Cook and TJ Hawkinson and ask for Mark Andrews. Is that a good trade? Obviously, depends on if, in fact, you can hope that Zeke and J.K. Dobbins, pan out right now. But outside of giving those kind of options, it's going to be tough for me to see you able to get him back in return. You may be able to send like a hodgepodge, like, hey, I'll give you Hawkinson, I'll give you Walker, and I'll give you, maybe DeAndre Hopkins, and maybe, Hawkinson, Walker, and Zeke, and try to get him. But it's going to have to be a team that is in desperate need of a running back for you to pull off a trade like that. Okay. Mike, we did that. Okay. Work for what you want. Send in a donation. I appreciate that. Trade Ramondre for Dameon Pierce and Devonta Smith. Yeah, I would do that. Give me Dameon Pierce and Devonta Smith the rest of the season. Any suggestions? We have Kyler, we have Mostert, we have Melvin, we have Eli Mitchell, we have Eno, we have Cup, Hollywood, CD, Mike Wood. Okay, so you have a lot of wide receiver depth. So I would try to look to flip some of that wide receiver depth for a running back. So specifically, I'd look to try to immediately take Mike Williams and take Jacoby Myers and try to trade them for an upgraded running back. But if, in fact, you can give away Ramondre for Dameon Pierce, that is a good way to start, because if you can get Devonta Smith as well, you can take Devonta Smith, you can take Jacoby Myers, and you can honestly go and try to make a running back play at some of these other guys that are undervalued in this kind of a format. Let me see here. Okay, so we've been here for quite some time, almost 2 hours now. I do appreciate you guys joining me this late at night. Obviously, we will be live streaming once again Saturday afternoon, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So for those of you who are, of course, in need of questions answered, we'll have more of an indication as to what we're looking at going forward. For some of you who may have asked the question, I wasn't able to get to it. I apologize. Again, there's one of me and there's been 300 of you, and I'm sure there's a lot of questions that have been asked. And I've tried to get around and try to help as many people as possible. I'm, of course, going to try to answer a couple more before we end out today's video. Or live stream specifically. I do appreciate that. Again, if you guys haven't yet already, click that like button down below. Greatly does help the channel out a lot. Also, if you guys haven't checked out Prize Picks and you want to continue to play fantasy on your phone, on your computer, on a weekly basis, even if the matchups are the Commanders versus the Bears, you may be able to go ahead and get yourself more involvement there, win yourself some money, Put in some entries via PrizePicks. Sign up today using promo code Andrew. And when you do, you'll be given a first-time deposit match up to $100. So for those of you trying to check that out, and of course, support the channel, when you guys sign up using promo code Andrew, it helps out a lot in terms of keeping the lights on here. These very bright lights that are honestly making me sweating, and that's really the reason why I have to stop the stream, because I am just, I'm losing my mind because these lights are so damn bright. Okay, so a couple more questions. Let's get to this, shall we? Jose, let's try to get to your question real quick. Jose, where are we at, my man? Half PPR. We have Herbert, Mixon, we have Swift, we have Robinson, we have Hall. Okay, we have a pretty good running back room there, specifically with Mixon, Swift, and Hall. Williams, Thomas, London. That's the biggest issue. I don't like Thomas right now. London is pretty much on the fringe. Pat Freiermuth is injured, has a concussion. We're going to need to find a backup there. I want to trade for a quarterback. I wouldn't do that. You have Hurts and Herbert. This is what you were talking about earlier. Okay, so if in fact you're going to give away Hurts or Herbert, you need to go get a wide receiver immediately, bro. So you need to find a team that has no quarterback help and is in immediate need of one, and go get their best receiver. I don't even care who it is. Just go and rinse their best receivers off that team. That's what you need. Or you go find a team that doesn't have a quarterback, and you go and you ask for one of their top tight ends. I don't want to trade Jalen Hurts for Goddard. I'd rather, trade Jalen Hurts for a better wide receiver like a, Sutton or somebody of that extent that is going to help in the long run. So that's what I'm looking for. You take these quarterbacks, you go to the team that has no quarterback help, who's been starting Jared Goff all season long, or starting Aaron Rodgers, or starting Carson Wentz, and you go and you try to rinse their best wide receiver off their team. If they don't want to give it, well, in a couple weeks, they'll come knocking. I can assure you that. Okay, so a couple more questions. So here we go. Trading for Adams, I have DeAndre Hopkins and Sutton and Kirk to trade with. I mean, are you asking me if we should be giving any of these? I mean, look, listen. If you can give DeAndre Hopkins and Christian Kirk and get Devontae Adams, I'm fine with it. Make that trade. Would you do Aaron Jones, Everett, and Alec? Sorry, that's Alex. Okay, Alec Pierce for Mixon, Swift, and Waddle? Yes, and yes. Wait, hold on, wait. So it's a matter of like, you get to pick between Mixon or Swift, right? And Waddle, and you're only giving up these three? Yes, 1000%, not even close. I don't care which running back he gives you. Take this deal. Should I trade Deontay Johnson for Miles Sanders? If you're in need of a running back, yes. Garrett Wilson, AJ Dillon, and Romeo Doubs full PPR this week. If I'm picking one out of the group, I'm probably leaning towards Garrett Wilson in a full PPR. I know it's kind of risky, but doing a little bit of research this week, the Packers secondary kind of looks like they're not going to be able to. I mean, I don't know, man. The Jets are the safest play is Romeo Doubs. I'm just worried about Sauce Gardner. That's why I'm going in the direction of Garrett Wilson. Okay, the chat just updated. 10-team, Kyler, Goff, Kupp, Godwin, Judy, Samuel. Okay. I'm 0-5, but 5th in points. Bad luck. Thoughts? Yeah. Based on the team that you have, obviously Swift's injury does not help. ETN starting slow does not help. But you do have Hall and you have Robinson, which is huge for the rest of the season. You have Taysom to fill in for Freiermuth right now. You have Pierce as a potential flexible option, but you don't need him because you have Kupp, you have Godwin, you have Judy, you have Jacoby, which is obviously a great play this week going forward. Kyler's going to be the quarterback of the future. If you're going to make any moves, I think it's probably at the tight end position, but I think it's probably going to be hard to move Taysom for anything as of right now. I want to keep this running back depth. 4 guys is necessary for success, especially with bye weeks and injuries coming down the line. At this point, you kind of have to kind of stay snug, maybe move Jared Goff off your team, maybe move Judy and Samuel, maybe Jacoby Myers. These are the 3 guys that are kind of replaceable to an extent, in my opinion. Try to move them. See if you can find a more solidified wide receiver 3, maybe a 3-for-1 trade. I'm legitimately willing to do that because you are 0-5 and you got to kind of click it in here. But otherwise, again, if you're 5th in points, you're not in a bad spot. You just have been playing these teams where you've had unlucky matchups. This is why when I play in leagues, guys, I know everyone wants to play fantasy for, the enjoyment, maybe fun. But if you really want to play competitively, this is the way that you set up your season. Okay? You have 2 different records, okay? And hear me out. You have your weekly record of who you play against. If you win that matchup, you go 1-0. But you also have a secondary record of how many points you scored, okay? If I'm playing in a 12-team league, okay? the teams who are in the top 6 in scoring in that given week are given a victory as well. So theoretically, if I am 1-0 in the week, but I'm the second to last scoring team, I go 1-1 in that week. But if I go 0-1 and I lose my individual matchup, but I had the second highest scoring team in the league, I go 1-1 anyway. That's the way that you should present your leagues. Have a duality of records, or just completely wash straight up head-to-heads and just go whoever scores the most points at the end of the year wins. Now, obviously, it's not as fun because you can't bicker with your friends and go one-on-one with your family members in that regard. But at this point, if you want to avoid this bad luck, that's the way you do it. Like right now, I'm in a league. It's called Scott Fishbowl. Scott Fishbowl is a charity league for Toys for Tots. He does a great job there. It's a super flex league. We drafted in July. Right now, let me go see where my team is. Right now, I'm in the so the division I am in, I'm currently 7-3. Okay, I'm tied for first place in the division, but I'm 7-3. With that being said, I'm 5-0 head to head, and I'm unfortunately 2-3 based on scores points scored in a given week. Right? So yes, I got lucky in some of those weeks to be 5-0 in my head-to-head matchup. But based on total points scored in the given weeks, your boy, is 2-3 in that regard. So it balances out your overall in terms of your team. By the way, this is the team, Scott Fishbowl, where my starting quarterbacks are Jared Goff and Mac Jones. And I'm 7-3, by the way. Just putting it into perspective. 5-0 head-to-head. Everybody was clowning me this offseason. A lot of the drafts I did this offseason, that I showed you guys via videos, a lot of people clowned on them. Bruh, some of them are really going off. But that's a different conversation for a different time. Let me answer some more questions before we leave Philadelphia. What did you end up saying here in this chat? Let me see your Philly. Burrow or Dak this week? Or are we talking about rest of the season? If we're talking about rest of the season or even this week, I'd rather have Burrow. That's my suggestion. I just think that the offense is just far more equipped for him to have higher upside going forward. Is Conklin relevant this week? Probably not, Bill. He burnt me last week. I'm going to take a week off. I'm going to take a chill pill with him. Burrow, Dak, Dillon, Zeke, Pickens. Drop one. My team is stacked. If I have to drop one of these potential options, if you can't trade away Dak, I would drop him because you don't need him right now. That'd be my suggestion. I'd honestly rather just keep these wide receiver options because and running back options. I'd just drop Dak at that point. Is Jacobs and AJ Brown a good trade? No, I'd rather have Jacobs rest of the season. AJ Brown is pretty risky right now, considering, again, like I mentioned a little bit earlier today, maybe Frank, you weren't here. Jalen Hurts only has 4 passing touchdowns, and I don't think those numbers are going anywhere anytime soon. At the end of the season, he probably finishes with probably 16 passing touchdowns. Probably like 15 rushing touchdowns based on the pace he's setting right now. But yeah, it's brutal. QB, Herbert, Barkley, Montgomery. We have Jefferson, Williams, Higbee. We have Jeff Wilson. That's a pretty good looking team, Dominic. I don't know what your question is, but you just posted it 3 times in a row. So, make any trades? Okay. Make any trades with this team? Barkley, Montgomery's fine. I guess you can move Montgomery if you'd like. Jefferson's fantastic. So is Mike Williams. So is Higbee. So is Jeff Wilson. I don't know what the rest of your team's depth looks like, but I would like to get a better RB2. If I have to trade Jeff Wilson and Montgomery for a singular running back, I would do it. Silent Bandit 12, thank you very much for the donation. Very generous of you. Again, you guys could take donations like this, turn it into a Patreon membership for a given month, get my rankings for free, get your questions answered. I've mentioned it enough times. If you guys want to take advantage of it, go ahead and do so. The link is in the description. Or you can go ahead and make a first-time deposit via Prize Picks. Go ahead and play more fantasy. Again, you don't have to go ahead and donate, but I appreciate it. 7-man league. Again, if you guys are playing in an odd man of leagues, invite me. I will play the 8th team. I even if I win the league, I won't take your money. I swear I won't. I'll just play. Like, I can manage it. You know what I mean? Like, I can play in legitimately. I think I can play in 100 leagues and I can be fine with it. Now, you may be thinking, Andrew, what are you going to do on Waiver Wire Wednesday? Or the Tuesday into Wednesday. I'm probably going to have a panic attack, but it's okay. I can handle the stress. You know what I mean? I've been doing it for the last 10 years. 7-man league, full PPR, trade Pitts and Najee Harris for who? Team is Kyler, Kamara, Pierce. Okay, so if I'm moving this, I want a tight end in return. So if I'm going to move this, I would like to get Pitts and Najee Harris and probably get a tight end and a running back in return. If you can do something where you go ahead and you get Kittle in return or get Higbee or Goddard or somebody of that exchange, or Ertz, and then another running back. Like, if you can get not even Higbee, let's say, for example, you can get Kittle and Connor in return, I would do that trade. You know what I mean? That's the kind of thing I'm looking for. Because if I'm sending a tight end, I know you have Njoku. I guess it could work. But if you're going to send this, you need a running back in return. You can't just give away Najee Harris and not get a running back. So if we're going to say, hey, we're going to keep Njoku as our starting tight end rest of the season, I'm going after players specifically in the category range. Let me find this. Okay. So if we're setting Pitts and Najee Harris, oh, that's not the right link. Where the heck is my... Again, earlier today, I did post a video, rest of season rankings, guys. If you guys want to check that out, it's on the channel, posted right now. For the half PPR scoring format. Players that I would want for that trade. I'm looking for Aaron Jones, Joe Mixon. Give me... I'm okay getting Ramondre Stevenson for that deal. I'm okay getting Melvin Gordon for that deal. That's about it. If I'm sending 2 of those players. Otherwise, I need a wide receiver. Which wide receivers? I would want Mike Evans in return. I would like, A.J. Brown, Deebo Samuel, T. Higgins, Jalen Waddle, Cortland Sutton, Marquise Hollywood Brown, guys like that. It's tough. When you're sending 2 for 1s, it's definitely tough. Okay. Off topic. Yeah, we'll consider that. I don't know if that's an actual possibility. I mean, maybe in the offseason. I'm going to be totally honest, Daniel. At this point, during the season, I do not leave the house. I'm working probably like 16 hours a day, maybe 18 hours a day at times, which kind of sounds crazy. But when you're a one-man job trying to run an entire YouTube empire or trying to build a YouTube empire, it requires all day long. Recording, doing, stats, getting all the scripts ready for the videos, getting it recorded, getting it edited, getting the graphics set, all this kind of jazz. But maybe this will be in the offseason, maybe during the playoffs, something like that. How much do you think Hopkins will affect Hollywood Brown? I think it's a decent margin. I think Hollywood Brown probably goes from being a top 12 guy to being like a mid-range wide receiver 2 rest season. What's Christian McCaffrey's true value? Health, trade rumors. I think his value is still where it is. I think he's still a top 6 running back rest of the season. That's where I have him right now in a half PPR scoring format. Shannon says, no. Shannon, this is definitely not in the realm of possibility. That's when I call the cops, my man. Okay, listen, dude. Full PPR, start 2 for week 6. Sutton, Jeff Wilson, or CD Lamb. Yeah, probably Sutton and Jeff Wilson this week if I'm starting 2 out of that group. Higgins, Olave, Williams, pick 2. I don't think Higgins is going to play, so you probably have to play Olave and Williams there. Thoughts on Brian Robinson, full PPR? Full PPR, not too interesting because he's just purely a running back, and I guess he's just going to have to really depend on touchdowns. That's the biggest issue with him right now. All right, guys, I think that's going to cover it for me. I've been here for about, dude, I'm sweating. The amount of times I have to wipe my forehead is brutal because these lights are, I just looked right into it. I think I'm blind. All right, guys, we will be back tomorrow with a video, Saturday live stream, Sunday live stream. Again, Saturday, we'll do start and sit picks throughout the entirety of that live stream. Of course, on top of it, on Sunday morning, we'll have up-to-date rankings on screen. I apologize if I wasn't able to answer your guys' question tonight. Again, there's a lot of you and one of me. I'm trying my very best to go ahead and figure this all out. I do appreciate you guys supporting the channel, of course, with your viewership, clicking the like button. And for those of you who sent in donations, I greatly appreciate it. Again, I did try to... Oh, actually, there's a couple I did miss here. There was one question here that was sent in by... there was one more donation sent in here from JT that was said, 14-team league, should I trade Chase and Dameon Pierce for Christian McCaffrey in London? I have Barkley, Keenan Allen, Wilson, Waller, Juju. No, I'd keep Chase and Dameon Pierce rest of the season, to be honest. That's what I would keep. Okay, so that pretty much covers it, right? I think that covers it. Let F3 function. I think that covers it. Let me check. Okay, a couple more questions. Okay, couple more. Because I love you guys so much. Okay, here we go. CS Derek 13 says, yo, Andrew, big fan. Full PPR, tight end / flex. Goddard, Njoku, Raheem Mostert, or Rondell Moore. I would probably play Raheem Mostert this week there. Tarzan says 14 team Algier, Rashad White, Alec Pierce, Rondell Moore. Pick 2. I'm playing Alec Pierce and Rondell Moore there. Peace dog, good night. Vanessa says, okay, who should I put in my flex this week? Singletary, Thielen, or Brandon Ayuk? I would probably play. I'm thinking it's probably going to be Singletary there, but I'm not 100% convinced on it. I'm thinking about Thielen. I'm thinking about his rate of touchdowns. It's been a while since he scored one. It could be one of those weeks where he scores one. I think the safest play is probably Singletary there. Second best option is Thielen. Should I trade Deontay? Okay, we already did that one. Going back down to the biggity bottom of this list. What do we got? Let me help you run the empire. Unfortunately, Frank, that is off the table. If I needed more help, I would definitely find it, but I appreciate that offer. Let's see here. YouTube Empire. Listen, I'm trying to build one. Is it difficult? Yes, it is. Are we close to 70K subscribers? Yes, we are. How do we get closer? Tell a friend, be a friend. I understand it's tough, but the more subscribers we get, the more viewers we get, the better off. I know it's tough for my channel to grow in that regard, mainly because, you know, my channel's name doesn't have the words fantasy football in it. I can almost 100% guarantee I'd have more subs, more viewers if my channel wasn't just named Andrew Kirchhoff, but I don't care. I'm not here for just views. I'm here to just try to help people win championships, and that's what I'm here for. And I'm going to continue to do that. I'm not changing my name ever. And that's just it. I appreciate you guys. Trade Brian Robinson for Zeke? Nah, I think I'd rather have that's tough, man. That's a tough one. Zeke is in a very interesting scenario. Wow. That's tough. Okay. Anyway, I'm gonna shut it off there, guys. I appreciate you guys. Thank you very much for coming out today, supporting the channel. Of course, if you haven't checked out Prize Picks, be sure to do so. Use promo code Andrew. Thank you very much. That's gonna cover it. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna cue the music, and I'm gonna let the metal serenade you and kind of be the outro. Thank you guys. Until tomorrow, I'll see you guys. Peace. My tongue bit. Oh, that's not it. There it is. I'm going to turn down the music a little bit, and while the outro is going, I'm going to try to answer some of these questions. All right. Braun, we had already answered that. Yes, I would be willing to... No, I wouldn't do that. I would rather trade Kirk and D-Hop for Adams. Do not trade A.J. Brown and D-Hop. Do not do that. I appreciate that, Pearl. Thank you. Trade BR for Pickens? No, keep BR. Mono says, Corey Davis and Romeo Dobbs for Hayden Hurst and Michael Carter. I have Swift, Connor, 12 team full PPR. Corey Davis and Romeo Dobbs for Hayden. Yeah, I mean, if you need yeah, I'm okay with that. Corey Davis is worthless, and so is Michael Carter. So this is just a straight Romeo Dobbs for Hayden Hurst trade. Give me Hayden Hurst. I'm okay with that. I'm trying to rebolster that position for yourself. All right, I got to stop now, guys. Otherwise, I'll never be able to leave. Good night, guys.